Так, я не знаю, вроде загрузилось, у меня тут проблемы возникли. Так, ладно, сейчас быстро анонс дам. И начну. Хотя, наверное, сначала лучше начну, потом дам анонс. Потому что хуй знает, как он вообще будет работать. Возможно, никак не будет, потому что, да, версия, скажем так, да, немного сомнительная. Господи, давай, Вася, грузись. Господи, давай, Вася, грузись. Господи, давай, Вася, грузись. Так, ну ладно, да, сейчас проверю, как работает, и начну. Где у меня Стенли Парабл? Лаборатор, добрый вечер. Да, вот это оптимальный вариант, конечно. К сожалению, сегодня не тот случай. У меня что-то интернет повис, очень интересное время, да. Так, сколько там? Блять, я не знаю, After Midnight. After, блять, оно вообще по-другому, наверное. Ну ладно, похуй. Возможно, это АМ все-таки. О, Сарман, добрый вечер. О, Сарман, да, это симулятор ходьбы. А что, написано, что хоррор? Я до этого включал игру и, в общем, до это время набирал тоже. Я подозреваю, мне бы ачивку дали, но у меня версия немного не та, за которой ачивки дают. Зовите, рекурсия какая. Так, ладно, сейчас я анонс быстро даю и начинаем. Но, блин, Stanley Parable, конечно, не эпический. Я вот, да, оригинал играл. Это, наверное, игра, которая подарила мне веру в инди. Это просто, это просто, не знаю, часа 4 чистейшего наслаждения. И, как я понимаю, эта версия расширенная, она практически сиквел. Ну, будет и то, и старое, и новое будет, и очень это прекрасно. Ну, тут, в принципе, если люди никогда не играли в Stanley Parable, я подозреваю, они в механиках и законах игры разберутся уже на третьем ране. Ну, Саруман. Симпсоны не хоррор, например.
This is the story of a man named Stanley.
Хорошее было время, лаборатор.
Stanley worked for a company in a big building where he was employee number 4.
Вы это скажите, если громко слишком.
Employee number 427's job was simple. He sat at his desk in room 427 and he pushed buttons on a keyboard. Orders came to him through a monitor on his desk, telling him what buttons to push, how long to push them, and in what order. This is what employee 427.
Вообще, конечно, я играл на выходе Стенли Парабл, когда только Steam появился. Я не знаю, сколько тут... Я, наверное, все концовки видел. Но я не уверен, что я все помню в доскональных деталях, так что... Конечно, стоило освежить память перед этой игрой. В этот ремастер, где дохуища нового, надеюсь.
Something that would forever change Stanley. Something he would never quite forget. He had been at his desk for nearly an hour when he realized that not one single order had arrived on the monitor for him to follow. No one had showed up to give him instructions.
Мне, конечно, дико стилистика нравится, то есть это действительно будто Valve делали.
Never in all his years at the company.
А дальше будет еще лучше.
This complete isolation. Something was very clearly wrong. Shocked, frozen solid, Stanley found himself unable to move for the longest time. But as he came to his wits and regained his senses, he got up from his desk and stepped out of his office.
Так, я хочу проверить, будет ли что-то, если я сейчас это... Ну, вроде будет, но мне интересно, придет ли это к какой-то концовке. Давай. Лаборатор, вот вообще не знаю. Блин, что-то голос рассказчика тормозит. Ладно, обойдемся пока без этого варианта. Так, ну, в принципе, мне все нравится. О, боже мой, Стэнли это Гарфилд.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. No matter how hard Stanley looked, he couldn't find a trace of his co-workers.
Да, лаборатор, так и думаю. Да, а там уже не офисное помещение. Но это реально похоже, как действительно один мир с этим...
Stanley went around touching every little thing in the office, but it didn't make a single difference, nor did it advance the story in any way.
Так, там вроде полазить можно будет. Сухархор, добрый вечер. Да, и правильно, что успел, потому что это игра, которая требует все-таки знать, что вначале было. О боже мой, эти длинные. Да, можно сейчас сразу это, да, расхерачить все повествование.
This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it.
Потрясающий кабинет, конечно, да, с выходом на бетонную стену. Кот, добрый вечер.
Yes, truly a room worth admiring. It had really been worth the detour after all, just to spend a few moments here in this immaculate, beautifully constructed room. Stanley simply stood here, drinking it all in.
Фуэл. Да, кофе это
But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
Нет. О,
Stanley
да,
was
это я
so bad
помню.
at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago.
Так, сюда вроде тоже попадем. Вот тут вроде какая-то секретная концовка имеется. Я не помню, то ли наверх нужно пробраться, то ли куда.
Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here. I'm not your enemy, really, I'm not. I realize that investing your trust in someone else can be difficult, but the fact is that the story has been about nothing but you all this time.
Сейчас прыгнем.
There's someone you've been neglecting, Stanley. Someone you've forgotten. What? Really? I was in the middle of something. Do you have zero consideration for others? Are you that convinced that I want something bad to happen to you? Why, I don't know how to convince you of this, but I really do want to help you, to show you something beautiful. Look, let me prove it. Let me prove that I'm on your side. Give me a chance.
Нет. Суки, двери закрыли. Замуровали. Да, там чем дальше, тем лучше. На рутрекере в раздаче сказали, что это хуйня, слепленная за 5 копеек. И типа, я вот вам такое говно сделаю за 5 минут. Типа. Так, он сказал про красную дверь, да? Блять, он про красную, про синюю говорил. Давайте синюю пойдем.
Perhaps you misunderstood. Stanley walked through the red door. I still don't think we're communicating properly. Stanley walked through the red door. All right, fine. Go ahead, Stanley. You want to know so badly what's out there? You want to find out what lies at the end of this road you've chosen? Well, don't let me stop you. You see? There's nothing here. I haven't even finished building this section of the map because you were never supposed to be here in the first place. Broken rooms, exposed developer textures. Is this what you had wanted? Was it worth ruining the entire story I had written out specifically for you? Do you not think I put a lot of time into that? Because I did. And in the end, it was all for nothing. Because this is what you wanted to see. Help me here, Stanley. Help elucidate these strange and unknowable desires of yours. What would have made this game better? What did you want to see? Vehicles? Skill trees? Work with me. You've given me absolutely nothing so far. Tell you what. Let me take a stab in the dark at a new design, and you can give me some feedback. There we go. A third option. This already feels leaps ahead of where we were before. Go ahead, Stanley. Take it for a spin.
Это, значит, вот чисто по цветам, по стилистике.
Okay, I'm going to
Это
stop you there. Now,
очень...
tell me about your experience with this new version. Would you say that the game benefited from allowing you more choices? Feel free to be honest. I'm looking for some real critical feedback here.
В общем, это очень похоже на карты, которые, собственно, добавляют Valve, любительские, но которые, собственно, входят в основной маппул Counter-Strike, вот, который за вот последние 2 года выходит. Там реально очень-очень похоже на это.
Ways the game could be improved to more fully express itself mechanically and artistically, but a one? That's not even helpful. What am I supposed to do with that? But I guess it isn't my place to judge. Here, based on the data from your previous playthrough, I've compiled a new version. And to be perfectly candid, I think I've knocked it out of the park with this one. Let's take a look.
Ну-ка, что тут будет? Вот этого я, кстати, не помню, может. Реально что-то новое.
Now, would you say that competitive leaderboard helped you feel motivated to keep walking through doors?
Бля, я пропустил таблицу
honest
лидеров.
answers, please.
Ну что, давайте его травить до последнего.
Hey, I nearly forgot. I've got a prototype of a new game I've been working on, and now would be a lovely opportunity to give it some playtesting. You wouldn't mind taking a look at it, would you? Perfect. Let me boot it up. In this game, the baby crawls left towards danger. You click the button to move him back to the right, and if he reaches the fire, you fail. It's a very meaningful game, all about the desperation and tedium of endlessly confronting the demands of family life. I think the art world will really take notice. But of course, the message of the game only becomes clear once you've been playing it for about 4 hours. So why don't you give it 4 hours of play to make sure it's effective? Be sure to keep notes on your experience.
Господи, вы ужасные люди.
You heartless bastard. Did you do it because you hate babies or purely to spite me? Because if it's the latter, well, I don't know what to do. I'm completely out of ideas. I can't think of a single thing that might improve the experience for me. I'm not even going to try. I'm out. I'm done. It's over. Thank you for playing. Your input was extremely valuable. Oh, hey, since my game was so awful, why don't we play someone else's game? Just to ease the pain. Let's see. What do we have here? Yes. This seems like it'll work. Let's give it a shot.
Да, лаборатор обязательно попробую. Но я пока что просто плохо помню, вот где я был, где я не был. О, боже мой. Вот, этого не было, этого не было. Это Firewatch.
What's our backstory? What is our motivation? Well, it seems obvious to me that you are meant to play as a creepy man spying on innocent civilians
Ладно, это гениально.
in your creep tower, perhaps for some sort of twisted erotic purpose. Yes, that must be it. What a fascinating venture into the experience of total mental depravity. So far,
Вот этих разработчиков, кстати, Valve купила.
Stanley, and it seems there's even more.
Они сделали Half-Life Alyx.
Outward and see what else is out there.
Я подозреваю, что тут что-то, какой-то секрет есть. И, быть может, он приведет к другой развязке. Что там? Да, нельзя увеличить. Блин, да, к Firewatch, конечно, нужно вернуться. У меня вроде в Steam есть. Игра интересная, конечно. О, да. Боже мой, пожалуйста, Эдит Финч, давайте. Да, коврик. Это чтоб когда ты из кровати вылезал, у тебя ноги не мерзли. Это называется домашний уют.
Oh, no, it can't be. It is. It's an open world game. Good God, quickly block it off. Oh, thank goodness, Stanley. What a close call. You nearly wandered off into that thing. That big open, just wandering around, no right or wrong directions, no path to follow. You can just go in any... Oh, thank heavens we avoided it. We're out of the woods now, Stanley. Okay, I'm going to get us out of here. Let's find another game. Preferably something with walls. Something with nice, big, insurmountable walls.
Конфокс, добрый вечер. Сарамага, ну, Medal of Honor был. От Electronic Arts. Ну, его, конечно, критики... О, боже мой, Rocket League! А, да, Конфокс, это новое издание. Жаль, что избегать нельзя.
Stanley, if you manage to get lost in this game, I will be phenomenally impressed.
Да, не зря мы младенца в огонь бросили.
Okay, so what exactly do we do here? Let's see. There are lots of cars here in the back, but obviously there's no racetrack. Okay, I'm seeing that there's a ball of some kind back here. Is this game sports ball? Stanley, I think it's sports ball. Oh, what fun. We shall run the bases and do a touchdown together. Yes. I think surely we must.
Да, что бегать нельзя.
Here's the ball. Have fun.
Конфокс, предыдущий, вот, собственно, вот это, предыдущий закос, он был под Firewatch. То есть, интересно, будет ли тут еще какие-то подобные, даже не отсылки, я не знаю, дружеские перемигивания и заимствованные ассеты.
Are you doing it? Are you winning? Is this fun? Is it better than my miserable little story that I worked so hard on? Hold on. What are you doing?
Так.
Stanley, don't do that. I can't follow you there. I can't help you.
Блядь.
You write a story without me. You can't do it. You know that. Stanley, come back.
Такое чувство, будто я зарубил тот труд. Блин. Блин, обидно. Обидно, обидно, очень обидно. Ну, если что, под конец еще раз его попробую. Ой. Походу, тут я буду падать часто и много. А, это квартира Стэнли. Блин, это финал в ситуациях, когда ты там... А, нет, или не квартира, хуй знает. Хм. Это офис все-таки? Блин, такое чувство, будто вот именно в своем руте у меня было разветвлений, ну, штук 5 как минимум. Из которых, возможно, штуки 2 я не видел. Это очень круто. Да-да-да, и такое чувство, будто это как раз это было и в оригинальной игре. И это на случай, когда ты игру совсем лихо пытаешься поломать. Блин, ну придется еще раз в Firewatch играть. Так, там дом какой-то. Еще возвращаться, что ли?
I wonder what he found. If what he wanted was to be the leading man in his own story, well, perhaps he's gotten it. Down in wherever he is right now. I wonder if he's happy with his choice. And if he's learned the heavy cost that comes with it. He'll understand soon what I was trying to tell him. He needs me. Someone who will wrap everything up at the end.
Кайнфокс, если ты про ту, которая модом изначально была, да, там мало было концовок, та, что лет в Steam выходила, не сколько, лет 8 назад, там вроде бы концовок штук 10 было. Может, 12. Так, я управляю, нет? Ну, сейчас, видимо, да, заново начну. Ну да, Firewatch и Rocket League, это, конечно, было очень неожиданным удовольствием.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Да, Кайнфокс, там много было концовок. Ну давайте, что, давайте пойдем по руту. Пойдем это по наименьшему сопротивлению. И будем с каждым рутом что-то менять.
Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there.
10 член, да, удачи, удачи. Так. Да, будущее было вчера. Завтра это сегодня. Да. Как с помощью слайдов. Да, все уникальные, а ты особенно. Да, как с помощью слайдов заверить работников, что все в порядке.
Stanley stepped into the broom closet, but there was nothing here, so he turned around and got back on track.
Ну, что-то есть что-нибудь? Я помню, что секретная концовка есть в кабинете босса.
No choice to make, no path to follow, just an empty broom closet.
Но там
No
вроде
reason to still be here.
что-то сложное было, кажется, дверь закрывающаяся пробежать.
Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Да, Кайнфокс, это не озвучено, потому что в Стиме, да, русскую озвучку больше не делают. По понятным причинам. Так, вот тут 100% была секретная концовка. Я, правда, не помню, как мне достать. О, боже мой. Да, в общем, если босс хочет вести предприятие, да, к банкротству, это значит, босс этого сам захотел. Да, 8, да, тут пароль, спасибо, блин. Ладно, что, пока к боссу пойдем.
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Shocked, unraveled, Stanley wondered in disbelief who orchestrated this, what dark secret was being held from him. What he could not have known was that the keypad behind the boss's desk guarded the terrible truth that his boss had been keeping from him. And so the boss had assigned it an extra secret PIN number, 2845. But of course, Stanley couldn't possibly have known this, yet incredibly, by simply pushing random buttons on the keypad, Stanley happened to input the correct code by sheer luck. Amazing. He stepped into the newly opened passageway.
Это секретный, да, Рут. Тут что-то другое было. Да, Кайнфокс, было бы неплохо, но, конечно, всю логику игры это бы к чертям поломало. Так. Вообще вот эти грязные текстуры видеть, конечно, немного это диковато после стерильных офисных помещений.
Stanley realized he felt a bit peculiar. It was a stirring of emotion in his chest, as though he felt more free to think for himself, to question the nature of his job. Why did he feel this now?
Причем тут прикол в том, что, собственно, есть вот эти вот руты, которые можно включить, ну, собственно, перейти на них в любой ситуации, то есть при любом рестарте. А есть руты, которые открываются, если ты взял предыдущие руты. Кайнфокс, нихера себе, такая ачивка есть. Я знаю, что ачивка, кажется, 5 лет в игру не заходить есть.
The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley thought to himself. Did he have the strength to find out?
Блин, ну даже вот на этом руте я нашел где-то, наверное, 5 развилок, куда, видимо, мне придется вернуться еще раз. То есть вот сейчас мне можно было сбежать, например.
Now the monitors jumped to life, their true nature revealed. Each bore the number of an employee in the building, Stanley's co-workers. The lives of so many individuals reduced to images on a screen, and Stanley, one of them, eternally monitored in this place where freedom meant nothing. This mind control facility, it was too horrible to believe. It couldn't be true. Had Stanley really been under someone's control all this time?
Я не знаю, вроде
Was
простенько,
this
но
the only
выглядит, конечно,
reason he was
невероятно.
happy with his boring job? That his emotions had been manipulated to accept it blindly? No. He refused to believe it. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control? Never. It was unthinkable. Wasn't it? Was it even possible? Had he truly spent his entire life?
Наверное, в следующий рунд попробую все то же самое, но сбежать на этот раз.
But here was the proof. The heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions. Happy, or sad, or content. Walking, eating, working. All of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another human life. For he would dismantle the controls once and for all.
О, по-моему, кстати, вот если все цифры вот нажать в какой-то определенном порядке, вот эти кнопки с цифрами, там что-то будет, по-моему. Вот, кстати, вот еще одна кнопка. Давайте попробуем тогда сейчас, наверное, вот это сделать. Да, Тинчлан, так и надо. Так, вот, значит, 3 у нас есть. Давайте реально попробуем. Там 5, тут 3. 1. 2. Так, там 3, а наверху 4, да, перед дверью 5. Так, меня что, не пускают сюда, что ли? Чего? Или я ошибся, кнопка вот здесь где-то. Сейчас проверим. Да, звук разный чаще всего. То есть, собственно, даже, по-моему, по клавиатуре бьешь, и звук разный. Время от времени. Но я думаю, это никак ни на что не влияет. Вот! Ну, вон там следующая кнопка. Как мне туда попасть? Сейчас я отключу свет в комнате. Бля, ну туда не пройти. Я не знаю, быть может, меня сюда пустят потом только, потом эта решетка откроется. Блин, обидно. Ну, то есть, вон, четверка там. Не. А, думаешь, лаборатор? Ха. Я просто думал, что эти все кнопки набрать в нормальной последовательности перед тем, как вот все это начинать. Ты саботируешь все происходящее. Ну, то есть это финал, которым у нас ведет голос рассказчика.
Yes, he had won. He had defeated the machine, unshackled himself from someone else's command. Freedom was mere moments away.
То есть, да, ирония, конечно, да, загибательная. Чувак бунтует против авторитетов, да, несовершенства мира, и в то же время слушается приказов непонятно кого.
How had he been freed from the machine's grasp? What other mysteries did this strange building hold? But as sunlight streamed into the chamber, he realized none of this mattered to him. For it was not knowledge or even power that he had been seeking, but happiness. Perhaps his goal had not been to understand, but to let go. No longer would anyone tell him where to go, what to do, or how to feel. Whatever life he lives, it will be his. And that was all he needed to know. It was perhaps the only thing worth knowing. Stanley stepped through the open door.
Может не вернуться? Нет, возвращаться не будем, окей. Значит, тут уже невозможно наебать рассказчика.
Stanley felt the cool breeze upon his skin, the feeling of liberation, the immense possibility of the new path before him. This was exactly the way, right now, that things were meant to happen. And Stanley was happy.
Ну, значит, скорее всего, на втором руте я смогу это саботировать. Или no нажать. Ну да, давайте этот же рут сейчас сделаем быстро. И, в общем, или откажемся в конце. Хотя, по-моему, сейчас уже будет другой рут изначально. То сейчас, по-моему, другие двери будут появляться. Тень-член вроде бы есть, как минимум. Вот, новый контент.
Oh, new content? What does that mean, new content?
Ну ладно, давайте быстро пробегусь, я думаю, тут недолго будет.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left. Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office. Oh no, not again.
Спасибо, Кайнфокс.
I'm not going to encourage you. I'm not going to say anything at all. I'm just going to be patient and wait for you to finish whatever it is you enjoy doing so much in this room. Please take your time.
Я подозреваю, тут нужно какое-то время постоять. Да. Вот, я нажимаю, да. И всегда звук такой, будто он по клавиатуре клацает. Это, быть может, намек, что мы управляем человеком, который управляет Стэнли. Ой, блядь. Ладно, еще пойдем туда. Эх. Ну вот рут, там рут, вниз можно сходить.
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. What could it mean?
2, 4, 9, 5.
Wondered aloud to nobody. He began wildly tearing through papers on the boss's desk, pulling books off the shelf, looking behind paintings, desperate for clues to his situation. But his attention was caught by a keypad behind the boss's desk. What could its purpose be? In fact, this keypad guarded the terrible secret that lay buried below his feet. And so the boss had assigned it an extra secret pin number.
2845.
But of course, Stanley couldn't possibly have known this.
Да, Excel-док, я примерно так же.
Random buttons on the keypad, Stanley happened to input the correct code by sheer luck. Amazing. He stepped into the newly opened passageway.
Блин. Не, ну понятное дело, мы сейчас, собственно, контент увидим, который уже видели. Но просто если я сейчас вот дропну этот рут, я, скорее всего, забуду, сколько я тут пропустил. Ну, то есть сейчас просто вот дойдем до финала, а после этого будем это... сокращать количество шагов перед финалом и каждый раз выбирать новый рут. Так, 2.8.45, главное не забыть. Сэкономить, если 10 секунд.
What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley thought to himself. Did he have the strength to find out?
Ну, Кайнфокс, да, посмотрим, подумаем. Но я думаю, туда за 2 часа, конечно, все не посмотреть. Больше времени понадобится.
The lives of so many individuals reduced to images on a screen, and Stanley, one of them, eternally monitored in this place where freedom meant nothing.
Пойти обратно? Я вроде пытался, блин. Ну, просто зависит от того, в каком моменте. То есть просто, как я понимаю, финальный рут, вот, да, вот в том руте, простите меня, это нажать «No». И, по-моему, тогда нужно будет на кнопки нажимать на время. Или же кнопки — это совершенно другой рут. Ну, сейчас узнаем. Почти дошли.
He refused to believe it. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control? Never. It was unthinkable. Wasn't it? Was it even possible? Had he truly spent his entire life utterly blind to the world? Here was the proof. The heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions. Happy or sad or content. Walking, eating, working. All of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another human life. For he would dismantle the controls once and for all.
Блять! Тот же рут. О боже мой, я тупой. Я тупой, господи Иисусе, простите меня. Да, блядь.
Blackness and a rising chill of uncertainty.
Блядь.
Was it over? Yes.
Блядь.
He had won.
Ну ладно, это, наверное, минуты 4 только. Сейчас быстро сделаю это.
Freedom was mere moments away.
Блин.
And yet,
да, 2.845, я помню.
Stanley reflected on how many puzzles still lay unsolved. Where had his co-workers gone? How had he been freed from the machine's grasp? What other mysteries did this strange building hold? But as sunlight streamed into the chamber, he realized none of this mattered.
Если бы она была не пираткой,
it was not knowledge or even power
я
that he had
подозреваю,
been seeking.
что тут бы мне ачивку дали за то, что я такой тупой выбрал 2 раза одинаковый фидал.
But to let go. No longer would anyone tell him where to go, what to do, or how to feel. Whatever life he lives, it will be his.
Да, обязательно посмотрю.
And that was all he needed to know.
Не, ну то есть, 400 рублей, а у меня в Steam 700 осталось. Да. Хотя, конечно, стоило купить, я не знаю, что ступил, блядь. Ну да, ладно.
Stanley felt the cool breeze upon his skin, the feeling of liberation.
Идем туда, на третий заход. Опять нажмем на кнопку Off.
This was exactly the way, right now, that things were meant to happen. And Stanley was happy.
Сараман, да, я, собственно, эти 700 как раз и получил, продав 2 скина дешевых. Ну, не десятки тысяч, не десятки тысяч, но 1007, наверное, есть, как минимум. Я думаю, ну 10 где-то, десятка где-то. Просто, блядь, ну я не знаю, мы в такой ситуации, когда хуй знает, будет ли у меня возможность пополнить счет в Стиме. Быть может, даже через тенги не получится. Поэтому я скорее, блядь, буду хранить эти деньги. Ну, то есть, все-таки игры вроде Stanley Parable, ну, они, их пиратить, да, понятное дело, это для совести сложновато. Но, тем не менее, по крайней мере, ты ничего не теряешь. Сука. Вот суки. Да, а вот, например, какие-нибудь не сессионки даже, а вот, например, игры, которые постоянно обновляются, и которые точно нет смысла играть в пиратку. То есть вот сейчас вот это My Times and Sandrak выходит. Я не знаю, я ее за 1000, например, готов купить. А пиратку смысла нет играть, потому что эту игру будут поддерживать годами. 2.845. Блять.
This was too much for Stanley to take. Too much for any man to take. If Stanley was in such a rush to get through the story as quickly as possible, he didn't even have a single minute to just let the narrator talk. That kind of anxiety isn't healthy, so he relaxed for a few moments with some calming new age music.
То есть это уже отдельный финал, да? А 8 надо вести 8 раз, то есть 8, 8, 8, 8, 8, 8. Ну, давайте попробуем чуть позже. Не, понятное дело, что ломают быстро, но я говорю об играх, которые, собственно, которым апдейты выходят, притом крупные, сюжетные, контент-патчи. То есть ты, конечно, можешь поиграть в пиратку, но, как я понимаю, прогресс через одну версию в другую пиратки перенести сложновато. И я, разумеется, лучше куплю лицуху и буду получать эти апдейты бесплатно. И, например, поиграл сейчас, и да, спустя год приходишь, там уже дохуища нового, и тебе не придется играть это заново. Блин, арипаки обновляемые вообще часто появляются. Просто, да, я с этим никогда в дело не имел. Так, сейчас он, я помню. Pirate.
Each bore the number of an employee in the building, Stanley's co-workers. The lives of so many individuals reduced to images on a screen, and Stanley, one of them.
Ну да, я знаю, что не обновляются. Не, по пирата нет, есть Pirate. Я знаю, что не обновляются, мне интересно, с тебе подходит или нет.
This mind control facility, it was too horrible to believe. It couldn't be true. Had Stanley really been under someone's control all this time? Was this the only reason he was happy with his boring job? That his emotions had been manipulated to accept it blindly?
Кайнсбокс, ну не дергай, да, что-то не видно, если мы... Правильно. Вот тот красный экран.
He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control?
Блядь,
Never.
Да.
It was unthinkable, wasn't it? Was it even possible? Had he truly spent his entire life
про белый экран, который фиолетовыми буквами? Я просто вообще не разобрал там надпись.
But here was the proof. The heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions. Happy, or sad, or content. Walking, eating, working. All of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past
Саруман, я честно не помню, но я что-то такое играл, когда у меня сейвы не подошли, я после этого решил все-таки покупать.
For he would Oh, Stanley, you didn't just activate the controls, did you? After they kept you enslaved all these years, you go and you try to take control of the machine for yourself. Is that what you wanted? Control? Oh, Stanley, I applaud your effort, I really do. But you need to understand, there's only so much that machine can do. You were supposed to let it go.
Сейчас, наверное,
turn the controls off and leave. If you want to throw my story off track, you're going to have to do much better than that.
Нет,
I'm afraid you don't have nearly the power you think you do. For example, and I believe you'll find this pertinent, Stanley suddenly realized he had just initiated the network's emergency detonation system. In the event that this machine is activated without proper DNA identification, nuclear detonators are set to explode.
Так, вот на третий раз получилось.
Complex. How long until detonation then? Let's say 2 minutes. Ah, now this is making things a little more fun, isn't it, Stanley? It's your time to shine. You are the star. It's your story now. Shape it to your heart's desires. Oh, this is much better than what I had in mind. What a shame we have so little time left to enjoy it. Mere moments until the bomb goes off. But what precious moments each one of them is. More time to talk about you, about me, where we're going, what all this means. I barely know where to start.
Надеюсь, последовательность правильно.
You'd like to know where your co-workers are? A moment of solace before you're obliterated? All right, I'm in a good mood. You're gonna die anyway. I'll tell you exactly what happened to them. I erased them. I turned off the machine. I set you free. Of course, that was merely in this instance of the story. Sometimes when I tell it, I simply let you sit there in your office forever, pushing buttons endlessly and then dying alone. Other times, I let the office sink into the ground, swallowing everyone inside, or I let it burn to a crisp. I have to say this, though, this version of events has been rather amusing. Watching you try to make sense of everything and take back the control wrested away from you, it's quite rich. I almost hate to see it go. But I'm sure whatever I come up with on the next go-around will be even better. My goodness, only 34 seconds left. But I'm
Да,
enjoying
да,
this
не
so
получится так,
much.
сейчас на секунду
You know
отойду.
what? To hell with it. I'm going to put some extra time on the clock. Why not? These are precious additional seconds, Stanley. Time doesn't grow on trees. Oh dear me, what's the matter, Stanley? Is it that you have no idea where you're going or what you're
Ну,
supposed
давайте
to be doing
попробуем на
right
кнопки
now?
понажимать.
Or did you just assume when you saw that timer
Да.
that something in this room
Да,
was
да, да, он
capable of
намекает на
turning it
это.
off? I mean, look at you. Running from button to button, screen to screen, clicking on every little thing in this room. These numbered buttons, no, these colored ones. Or maybe this big red button, or this door. Everything, anything, something here will save me. Why would you think that, Stanley?
Да, да.
This video game can be beaten?
Было, конечно,
One
желание
soul?
сходить чай налить, но...
Do you have any
Я думаю, я
idea
не
what your
успел бы.
purpose in this place is?
Не, ну, конечно, вот это отлично.
Stanley.
Вот чисто этот труд.
You're in for
Да,
quite a
да,
disappointment.
какое-то
But here's a
лжеспасение,
spoiler
и
for
потом,
you.
да.
That timer isn't a
Ты
catalyst to
впервые
keep action
ослушаешься
moving along.
голоса
It's just
рассказчика,
seconds
голоса, и
ticking away
да,
to
начинается
your
вот
death.
такое.
You're only still playing instead of watching a cutscene because I want to watch you for every moment that you're powerless.
Что, нет,
To
все равно?
see you made humble.
Вот суки.
This is not a challenge. It's a
Возможно, мне
tragedy.
туда нужно
You
нажать.
wanted to
Вот на эту
control
хуйню.
this world, that's fine.
А, я сбежать мог?
I'm going to destroy it first, so you can't. Take a look at the clock, Stanley. That's 30 seconds you have left to struggle. 30 seconds until a big boom and then nothing. No ending here, just you being blown to pieces. Will you cling desperately to your frail life, or will you let it go peacefully? Another choice. Make it count.
Да, возможно, здесь
It's
действительно
all
уже
the
было
same
на что-то
to
другое
me,
нажимать.
all a part of the joke. And believe me, I will be laughing at every second of your inevitable life from the moment we fade in until the moment I say happily ever after.
Да, серьезно? Цветные кнопки? Блин, ну... Я не знаю, но туда действительно можно попробовать еще раз вот этот труд проверить.
How long was I sitting there? Stanley wondered to himself. Minutes? Days? Centuries? Did something crucial happen while my senses were turned?
Да, новый
He made
контент
a
никому
note
не
to be
нужен.
more careful with time. From
Главное с
Stanley
этим
came to a set
разобраться.
of two open doors. He entered the door on his left.
Давайте сейчас я просто сбегу тогда из той ситуации. То есть, когда там была
Yet
дверь
there was
с
not a
надписью
single
Escape.
person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief,
Значит, сначала
Stanley
сбегу,
decided to
потом
go
вот
up
это,
to his
собственно, в
boss's
следующем руте вот
coming
сюда
to a
вниз
staircase.
схожу.
Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's
А потом,
office.
наверное, можно сходить и как раз посмотреть, что там в руте с этими гостевыми играми.
Okay, I think we all know the drill by now. Blah, blah, blah. Dark secrets, the keypad. Stanley pushes some buttons. Oh, hey, look, it's a new passageway. How surprise.
Сэкономил мне время. Спасибо. Да, я подозреваю где-то там. То есть тут даже, наверное, расчет на то, что ты вот эту, собственно, надпись правильной комбинации можешь узнать в каком-то другом руте. И, возможно, это вот типа как один из последних больших финалов тут. Так, вот сейчас посъебемся.
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility. Although this passageway had the word escape written on it, the truth was that at the end of this hall, Stanley would meet his violent death.
Мне не страшно.
The door behind him was not shut. Stanley still had every opportunity to turn around
Да,
and
лаборатор,
get back
кстати,
on
возможно.
track.
Но, с другой стороны, тут все-таки все
At
линии,
this
они куда-то
point,
ведут.
Stanley was making a
И,
conscious,
да, вот так
concerted
на
effort to
ровном
walk
месте родить
forward
очередной
and
финал, это,
willingly
да, в точном
confront
духе
his
этой игры.
death.
Да, Кент Фокс тоже так думаю. Господи Иисусе.
As the machine whirred into motion and Stanley was inched closer and closer to his demise, he reflected that his life had been of no consequence
Да,
whatsoever.
походу это финал.
Stanley can't see the bigger picture. He doesn't know the real story, trapped forever in his narrow vision of what this world is. Perhaps his death was of no great loss, like plucking the eyeballs from a blind man. And so he resigned and willingly accepted this violent end to his brief and shallow life. Farewell, Stanley.
Нет, суки, выпустите. Нет. Хочу... О.
Farewell, Stanley, cried the narrator, as Stanley
Нихуя
was
себе.
led helplessly into the enormous metal jaws.
Это новый контент?
In a single visceral instant, Stanley was obliterated as the machine crushed every bone in his body, killing him
Да, интересно, с
instantly.
чего он голос рассказчика сменил. А, да, возможно, это было.
And yet it would be just a few minutes before Stanley would restart the game, back in his office, as alive as ever. What exactly did the narrator think he was going to accomplish?
Ну, это было по сюжету Кайн Фокс. Блин, тут же есть один финал, где, по-моему, ты можешь посмотреть это. Там это, во-первых, список разработчиков, все вот эти благодарности. По-моему, это даже вот это, да. Да, да, это оно. Хотя или нет. Ну, в общем, по-моему, был финал, в котором можно посмотреть, взял ли ты все финалы. Да, это, конечно, потрясающе. Нет, это, конечно, замечательно. Да, возможно, с этим тоже что-то связано. Да, Кайн Фокс, затравили меня, затравили. Ну, вообще, тут это Сараман спрашивал насчет того... Так, вот. Вот, смесь звука клавиши к клавиатуре синтезированным тоном. Да, вот я как раз говорил про клавиши. Сараман говорил, зачем мне вот это, собственно, покупать лицуху. Ну, например, да, некоторые игры очень долго взламывают. То есть, какой-нибудь этот Guardians of the Galaxy, он до сих пор не взломан. Я бы в него, блядь, с радостью поиграл. Ну и, в принципе, что-то там еще много. Например, не знаю, какой-нибудь Dragon Quest 11. Потрясающая совершенно игра. Его, по-моему, его взломали почти сразу. Не, ну, Сараман, это не нишевая игра. Или ты про нишевый чисто играл. В общем, например, какой-нибудь Dragon Quest 11, я его тоже пиратку пытался играть какое-то время. Там прикол пиратки в том, что через 3, по-моему, часа дальше играть невозможно. Просто невозможно. По-моему, там висяки какие-то чудовищные, или просто с какого-то момента, да, нельзя пройти дальше. И, да, для таких случаев, конечно, лучше покупать. Так, тут что-то было, да? Тут какая-то зеленая херня выглядывала, нет? Для таких моментов лучше, конечно, лесуху покупать. Мне показалось, что ли? А, вот, да. Дзен концовки. Блин, да, отлично. Это наверное, все-таки финал, который лучше, ну, ближе к концу, конечно, получать. Не, ну, Guardians of the Galaxy до сих пор не взломали, как я понимаю, Сараман. А, да, серьезно, Кайн Фокс, охуеть. Так, вот, значит, он, в общем, Starcase, да, вот, значит, это вот First Choice, это где мы начинаем, вот это обей, Starcase, туда мы не ходили, это когда вниз спускаться. Тут и развиться насмерть можно. Итак, кто тут? Пальцами щелкает или что это вообще? А, он сейчас зазвонит, да? Да, кто-то на Стенли Парабл неплохо заработал. Там YouTube, что ли, смотрит? Да, походу, Кайтфокс. Я тоже не помню вентиляцию. Так, тут мы были? Да, да, это та центровая комната. Окей. Да, да, мы отказались от концовки, потому что кто-то посчитал, что мы издеваемся над любителями шутеров. О боже мой, тут должны были быть капибары. Надеюсь, тут появятся капибары. Господи, как можно было отказаться от капибар в игре? Да, да, Кайтфокс, да, я тоже заметил, там эта вентиляция была. Возможно, да, возможно, можно. Нужно, кстати, подумать, проверить. Да, заметно, что все-таки офис страшно изменился с тех пор. Не, ну вообще, конечно, очень круто. Я, да, хотел бы, чтобы во многих играх вот такое было. А, вот что тут появлялось, да? То есть просто, чтобы ты мог узнать, о чем думали разработчики, как игра менялась со временем. Какие вещи они выкидывали, какие изменяли. Земляник, добрый вечер. Не, эту игру пройти очень сложно, да, так что это тут просто безумное количество концовок. Че, выключаем, да? Эх.
Can you see? Can you see how much they need one another? No, perhaps not. Sometimes these things cannot be seen.
Так, меня все-таки убьют?
You can still save these two.
Это другая концовка будет.
Push escape and press quit. There's no other way
Серьезно?
to beat this game.
Серьезно?
As long as you move forward, you'll be walking someone else's path. Stop now and it'll be your only true choice. Whatever you do, choose it. Don't let time choose for you.
Давайте попробуем. Классный момент. А, да, Кайтфокс, да, типа у них такой очень странный симбиоз.
Stanley worked for... All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean?
Так, теперь мы можем сходить, собственно, вниз по лестнице. Блин, наверное, стоило сдохнуть, да. Ну, Кайтфокс, она мне сказала, что нужно выйти, и, по-моему, в оригинале это вело к какому-то финалу другому, если ты выходил. Не сбросился. New контент открыт.
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office. Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office. But Stanley just couldn't do it. He considered the possibility of facing his boss. Admitting he had left his post during work hours, he might be fired for that. And in such a competitive economy, why had he taken that risk? All because he believed everyone had vanished? His boss would think he was crazy. And then something occurred to Stanley. Maybe, he thought to himself, maybe I am crazy. All of my co-workers blinking mysteriously out of existence in a single moment for no reason at all? None of it made any logical sense. And as Stanley pondered this, he began to make other strange observations. For example, why couldn't he see his feet when he looked down? Why did doors close automatically behind him wherever he went? And for that matter, these rooms were starting to look pretty familiar. Were they simply repeating?
Не, ну,
No,
конечно,
Stanley said to himself,
нарратив
this is
тут
all
именно
too
гейм-дизайн
strange, this can't be
отличнейший.
real. And at last, he came to the conclusion
То есть, в
that it had
принципе,
been on
вот,
the tip of
вот
his
такой
tongue.
вот действительно
He
можно
just
какой-нибудь вот
hadn't
это
found the words for it.
мод-мейкере
Dreaming! He yelled.
из чужих
This
ассетов
is all a dream.
сделать очень легко. Ну, блин, да, тут, конечно, слишком светлая голова
finally
нужна.
found an answer, an explanation. His co-workers weren't actually gone. He
То есть
wasn't
вот, да,
going to lose
вам
his
рецепт,
job.
как заработать
He
$1 000 000,
wasn't crazy
сделайте
after
что-то
all.
подобное.
And he thought to himself,
Но сделайте
I
вот
suppose I'll wake up
хотя бы
soon.
до приблизительно
I'll have to
такого
go
уровня.
back to my boring
Деньги будут
real-life job
100%.
pushing buttons. I may as well enjoy this while I'm still lucid. So, he imagined himself flying
О,
and
боже
began
мой,
to
да, да,
gently
да, я
float
помню это.
above the ground. Then he imagined himself soaring through space on a magical starfield, and it too appeared. It was so much fun, and Stanley marveled that he had still not woken up. How was he remaining so lucid? And then perhaps the strangest question of them all entered Stanley's head. One he was amazed he hadn't asked himself sooner. Why is there a voice in my head dictating everything that I'm doing and thinking? Now the voice was describing itself being considered by Stanley, who found it particularly strange. I'm dreaming about a voice describing me, thinking about how it's describing my thoughts, he thought. And while he thought it all very odd and wondered if this voice spoke to all people in their dreams, the truth was that, of course, this was not a dream. How could it be? Was Stanley simply deceiving himself, believing that if he's asleep, he doesn't have to take responsibility for himself? Stanley is as awake right now as he's ever been in his life. Now, hearing the voice speak these words was quite a shock to Stanley. After all, he knew for certain, beyond a doubt, that this was in fact a dream. Did the voice not see him float and make
После
the
этой
magical
развязки мне,
stars
конечно,
just
нужно
a moment
сходить и
ago?
вот на эти
How else would the
гостевые
voice
игры
explain all
сыграть.
that? This
Я
voice
там
was a
сдох
part of
по
himself
тупости.
too.
Нам
Surely,
нужно всё-таки
surely,
до
if he
конца
could
дойти.
just... He would prove it. He would prove that he was in control, that this was a dream. So he closed his eyes
Потом
gently,
можно правую дверь
and he
выбирать и
invited
связанные
himself to wake up.
с ней руты.
He felt the cool weight
А
of the
затем
blanket
можно
on his
новый
skin,
контент смотреть.
the press of the mattress on his back, the fresh air of a world outside this one. Let me wake up, he thought to himself. I'm through with this dream. I wish it to be over. Let me go back to my job. Let me continue pushing the buttons. Please, it's all I want. I want my apartment, and my wife, and my job. All I want is my life exactly the way it's always been. My life is normal. I am normal. Everything will be fine. I am okay.
Так, это мы где?
Stanley began screaming. Please, someone, wake me up. My name is Stanley. I have a boss. I have an office. I am real. Please, just someone tell me I am real. I must be real. I must be. Can anyone hear my voice? Who am I? Who am I? And everything went black.
Я, ну, да, логическая.
This is the story of a
О,
woman
боже
named
мой.
Mariella. Mariella woke up on a day like any other. She arose, got dressed, gathered her belongings, and walked to her place of work. But on this particular day, her walk was interrupted by the body of a man who had stumbled through town talking and screaming to himself, and then collapsed dead on the sidewalk. And although she would soon turn to go call for an ambulance, for just a few brief moments she considered the strange man. He was obviously crazy, this much she knew. Everyone knows what crazy people look like. And in that moment, she thought to herself how lucky she was to be normal. I am sane. I am in control.
Да, по-моему, рассказчик теперь будет
I
над
know what
Мираэлой
is real
издеваться.
and what isn't. It was comforting to think this, and in a certain way, seeing this man made her feel better. But then she remembered the meeting she had scheduled for that day. The very important people whose impressions of her would affect her career, and by extension, the rest of her life.
А, я забыл
She
рут,
had
когда
no
в
time
этом
for this.
в офисе
So
босса
it was
можно другую
only
дверь
a
выбрать.
moment that she stood there, staring down at the body. and then she turned and ran.
Вот этого, кстати, не помню. Вот именно, чтоб нас показывали со спины дохлым. Так, ладно, теперь, значит, это сначала... в комнате босса выберем другую дверь. А потом на лифте упадем. И вернемся в тот рут, который я запорол.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left. Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's. Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Так, вот справа дверь. Она закрыта, что ли? Ну, а может и наверх можно скататься. Блин, Кайнфокс, не знаю. Возможно, его нету. Или, возможно, он работает как ачивки, но у меня пиратская версия, поэтому у меня ачивок нет. Да, код, я хочу, да, как раз это сделать. Следующий рут будет про это. Мне действительно интересно, быть может, там еще и третья игра будет. То есть мне что, невозможно никуда? Да, оно на весе стоит. Оно просто на месте стоит. Блин, смешно. Суки. Ну, возможно, тут действительно какая-то комбинация есть хитрая. Вот на это все. И с ее помощью можно выбраться отсюда. Блин. Но это, конечно, уже не для нас. Так, это, кстати, другой текст. До этого там разговор был о том, да, как босс захочет и к банкротству компанию приведет. Так, а тут были какие-то еще руты, мне интересно. Или нет? Если нет, то, наверное, можно это ливать. То есть давайте ливнем, наверное. Потому что тут все равно все видно. Так, значит, теперь мы идем на рут с играми.
What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Кстати, рут такой довольно долгий был.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, this was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well.
Вот он член правой двери. И в ней секретная концовка, если выпасть.
Wow. Yes. This room. What? But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
Вот сейчас покатаемся на лифте.
Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago. Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here. I'm not your enemy, really, I'm not. I realize that investing your trust in someone else can be difficult, but the fact is that the story has been about nothing but you all this time.
Так, главное не промахнуться.
Someone you've been neglecting, Stanley. Someone you've forgotten about. What? Really? I was in the middle of something. Do you have zero consideration for others? Are you that convinced that I want something bad to happen to you? Why, I don't know how to convince you of this, but I really do want to help you, to show you something beautiful. Look, let me prove it. Let me prove that I'm on your side. Give me a chance. Now listen carefully, this is important. Stanley walked through the red door. Aha! Perhaps you misunderstood. Stanley walked through the red door. I still don't think we're communicating.
Ну и действительно какие-то токсичные отношения, да. И тот, и другой, да, друг друга дичайше правят.
What's out there? You want to find out what lies at the end of this road you've chosen? Well, don't let me stop
Они будто, не знаю, 20 лет замужем.
You see? There's nothing here. I haven't even finished building this section of the map because you were never supposed to be here in the first place.
Да, ладно, просто, да. В принципе, знаем друг друга с ним. Примерно так, те же сроки.
The entire story I had written out specifically for you. Do you not think I put a lot of time into that? Because I did. And in the end, it was all for nothing. Because this is what you wanted to see. Help me here, Stanley. Help elucidate these strange and unknowable desires of yours. What would have made this game better? What did you want to see? Vehicles? Skill trees? Work with me. You've given me absolutely nothing so far. Tell you what. Let me take a stab in the dark at a new design, and you can give me some feedback. There we go. A third option. This already feels leaps ahead of where we were before. Okay, I'm going to stop you there. Now, tell me about your experience with this new version. Would you say that the game benefited from allowing you more choices? Feel free to be honest. I'm looking for some real critical feedback here. A 1? I mean, I can understand if you had reservations, you saw ways the game could be improved to more fully express itself mechanically and artistically, but a 1?
По-бешеному травишь рассказчика, и, по-моему, там, ну, что-то очень быстрое и не особо запоминающееся было. А тут, да, реально пасхальных яиц накидали целую корзину.
I think I've knocked it out of the park with this one. Let's take a look.
Да, World Leaderboard. Господи Иисусе. Это я на 9328 месте. Но я не играю 7 часов 37 минут. Что за пиздеж?
Now, would you say that competitive leaderboard helped you feel motivated to keep
Да,
working
серьезно
through
решил?
doors? Again, honest answers, please. Hey, I nearly forgot. I've got a prototype of a new game I've been working on, and now would be a lovely opportunity to give it some playtesting. You wouldn't mind taking a look at it, would you? Perfect. Let me boot it up. In this game, the baby crawls left towards danger. You click the button to move him back to the right, and if he reaches the fire, you fail. It's a very meaningful game, all about the desperation and tedium of endlessly confronting the demands of family life. I think the art world will really take notice. But of course, the message of the game only becomes clear once you've been playing it for about 4 hours. So why don't you give it 4 hours of play to make sure it's effective? Be sure to keep notes on your experience.
Гостин. Да, мы опять сделали то же самое.
You heartless
И все ради того, чтобы
Did you
сыграть
do it because you
очередной
hate
матч
babies
в
or
Rocket
purely
League.
to spite me? Because if it's the latter, well, I don't know what to do. I'm completely out of ideas. I can't think of a single thing that might improve the experience for me. I'm not even going to try. I'm out. I'm done. It's over.
Вот да.
Thank you for playing. Your input was
Оригинал тут
extremely
заканчивался.
valuable. Oh, hey, since my game was so awful, why don't we play someone else's game? Just to ease the pain. Let's see. What do we have here? Yes. This seems like it'll work. Let's give it a shot.
Так, ладно, значит, вот после этого я правую дверь вот пытаюсь пройти на максимум. А после этого, да, в новый контент.
Aha! Fascinating. What do you think this game is about, Stanley? What's our backstory? What is our motivation? Well, it seems obvious to me that you are meant to play as a creepy man.
У меня, кстати, есть знакомый в Твиттере, по-моему, блядь, я не помню, силовик какой-то, что ли. И, в общем, я заспойлерил, я не помню, какой-то фильм 20-летней давности в Твиттере. И он после этого заспойлерил мне финал Firewatch'а. То есть, блядь, какие ранимые люди, нахуй.
And it seems there's even more. Come, let's venture outward and see what else is out there.
Блять, я опять не туда пошел, да? Да, тут не отсюда нельзя. Выйти нужно. 2 раза синий после... блин, да. Ну тут, конечно, вот эта ветвистость, она безумная совершенно. Коврик? Не, ну, я не знаю, там что-то важное. Вот этот коврик. Да, блин, спасибо, да. Я еще не мог понять, почему, да, писали. Написал ты Don't Read Me в чате. Да, спасибо, лаборатор.
Oh no. No, 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 it can't be. It is. It's an open world game. Good God, quickly block it off.
Вообще занятно, что вот симуляторы ходьбы, они в сущности сейчас, да, практически мертвы, потому что вот в начале десятых все их делали, тупо все, и многие реально, собственно, были на большом хайпе. Сейчас, ну, в принципе, по большей части делают хорроры, симуляторы ходьбы, и никто их не замечает практически. И я не помню, чтобы реально какие-то вот знаковые люди или студии сейчас делали симуляторы ходьбы.
Something with nice, big, insurmountable walls. Okay, I think this will be just the thing. Wonderful. See, this is exactly what I had in mind.
Да, пришлось с Тимом Свини ради этого договариваться.
For you to run around in. There isn't any possibility that you could get lost here. Now this is game design. Stanley, if you manage to get lost in this game, I will be phenomenally impressed.
Чё, где мой мяч?
Okay, so what exactly do we do here? Let's see. There are lots of cars here in the back, but obviously there's no racetrack. Okay, I'm seeing that there's a ball of some kind back here. Is this game sports ball? Stanley, I think it's sports.
А может тут зависит, кстати, от того, в какие ты ворота пошлёшь. Давайте в это оранжевый пошлём.
Yes, I think surely we must. Okay, Stanley, here's the ball. Have fun.
Я вроде бы в синий посылал. Тупой мяч. Ничего себе.
Are you doing it? Are you winning? Is this fun? Is it better than my miserable little story that I worked so hard on? Stanley, I have a thought.
Ну давай,
and I realize
Сарамага,
I'm not a
попробуем синий.
sportsologist, but if one ball generates a certain amount of raw adrenal pleasure, then surely multiple balls makes for an even more euphoric sports experience.
Кстати, да, ускорились мы на отличненько.
Yes. Oh goodness, that really does feel
Главное
amazing,
не упасть.
Stanley, I'm like a child in a confectionery shop. I simply have to have more. I'm insatiable. More balls.
Надеюсь, не придется всем забивать ворота ради концовки.
Are you enjoying this, Stanley? Are you having fun? Is this a real video game?
Да, неплохая
Well, I
такая.
sure hope you're having a good time, because guess what? It's over. That's right. Your little fun comes to an end. This is my game, and what I say goes. You get to have fun when I let you, Stanley. Besides, you need someone like me to set boundaries for you. Without rules or boundaries, video games are nothing. Yes, that's what I am. I'm structure. I'm your sense of purpose. And since you decided you didn't want to play my game, now I don't want to play with you either. So, goodbye, Stanley. I'm leaving. See how you like it when I'm not around to set the rules. Somehow, I don't think you'll enjoy it as much. But who knows? You're an inventive kid. You'll come up with something. After all, you're the one who knows best. Take care, Stanley.
Да, наратор обиделся. И что тут? Мне нужно самоубиться? Или что? Или нужно дождаться? Когда у него задница гореть перестанет. Суть что, ну блин, то есть мы в прошлый раз почти прошли этот труд. Обидно, обидно. Так, значит, синюю, да? Давайте в синюю. В синие ворота прыгнем. А зимник я гол с собой уже забил, и, в общем, да, сразу началась новая игра. Вот сейчас забью. Эх, прощай, жестокий мир.
Stanley, don't do that. I can't follow you there. I can't help you. How will you write a story without me? You can't do it. You know that. Stanley, come back.
А, по-моему, кстати, вот тут я упал, и... Да, возможно, я тут запрофилил как раз. Блин, давай чуть-чуть светлее сделаем. А то что-то... Так, а где тут? Общий, наверное. Блин, а где тут можно яркость добавить? Что-то непонятно. Вообще нельзя, что ли? Блин, ладно. Похер. В общем, да, вот тут я упал в прошлый раз, и все, собственно. Game over. Возможно, тут упасть нельзя. Ой, не стоит, вернее. Это пропасть? Нет, вот тут нихуя не видно. Ну ладно, что идем. Блин, да, жаль. Опять тут журт. А, серьезно, да? Они недоступны? Господи Иисусе. Вот же суки. Да, что, будем ждать пиратку до ближайших 10 лет. Да, Алга, Казахстан.
I wonder what he found. If what he wanted was to be the leading man in his own story, well, perhaps he's gotten it. Down in wherever he is right now. I wonder if he's happy with his choice. And if he's learned the heavy cost that comes with it.
Подозреваю, что даже в этом
He'll
лабиринте
understand
можно
soon what I was
чуть-чуть
trying to
интересное.
tell him. He needs me.
Я вот просто
Someone
там
who will
смотрел.
wrap everything up at the end to make sense out of the chaos and the fear and the confusion. That's who I am. That is what I mean to this world. Oh, yes. Yes, I'll be back. There's no other way. Once this ends, after it all comes to a close, then I'll be back. The end will be here soon. Very soon.
Так, ладно, идем, значит, на правую концовку. По-моему, там, собственно, должна вот на правой концовке, если ты в какой-то момент левую дверь выбираешь, то в большинстве случаев ты выходишь просто на левую концовку.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean?
Значит, ладно, это, мы поиграли в эту ракетигу.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, this was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. The lounge was sublime, a work of art. But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
Давайте попробуем
And so
вот
he
тут.
detoured through the maintenance section, walked straight ahead to the opposite door, and got back on track.
Да, куда. Там, я не знаю,
But
осветлять
Stanley
нужно.
didn't want to go back to the office. He
Yeah,
wanted to wander
картинку.
about and get even further off track. So now, in order to get back, he needed to go, from here, it's, left.
Да, даже наратор запутался. Куда-то идти.
Oh, no, it's to the right, my mistake.
Сарман, я подозреваю, что есть финальная концовка.
No, not the right.
То есть, если собрать все
Why would
концовки,
I
то
have
тебе
ever
обязательно
said it was
покажут,
to
что
the
как
right?
это.
What was I thinking? It's clearly... Oh dear, would you hold on for a minute, please? Now, let's see. We went down right, left, down, left, right. Yep, okay, yes. I've got it now. This story is absolutely, definitely this way.
Она мне не задавит? Лягуха? А что за лягуха? Какой-то, я не знаю, что за лягуха? Это стример какой-то?
No, 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 no. This isn't right at all. We're not supposed to be here yet. This is all a spoiler. Quick, Stanley, close your eyes. Okay. We just have to get back to, oh, who am I kidding? It's all rubbish now. The whole story completely unusable. How about, rather than waste my time trying to salvage this nonsense, we'll just restart the game from the beginning. And this time, suppose we don't wander so far off track, Okay, from the top.
Это Мартин, это типа этот косяк, что ли? Ой, косяк, это тесак. Он воскрес и играет Джаскос. Марцинкевич. И стал стримером. Так, вот, да, вот это тоже, да, рут пошел другой.
No, I restarted. I swear I definitely restarted the game over, completely fresh. Everything should be... Oh, did something change? Stanley, did you change anything when we were back in that room with all the monitors? Did you move the story somewhere or... Hold on. Why am I asking you? I'm the one who wrote the story. It was right here just a minute ago. I know for sure that it's here somewhere. Okay, then. It's an adventure. Come, Stanley. Let's find the story.
Суки, сюда хочу. Так, ну то давайте попробуем туда, в складское помещение, забраться. Нида, добрый вечер.
I'll say it. This is the worst adventure I've ever been on. I can promise you there definitely was a story here before. Do we need to restart the game again? Well, I find it unlikely that we'll ever progress by starting over and over again, but it's got to be better than this. Okay, let's give it a shot. Why not? All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Потом попробуем понажимать что-нибудь. Нового контента, кстати, нет.
Okay, yep, it's worse. I might be remembering this wrong. It's possible the story is back where we just came from. Why don't we go back the other direction and see if we missed anything?
Я, правда, не помню, в этом руте много финалов, ну, разветвлений даже. Или это, собственно, рут, который ведет к возвращению домой.
Aha! I knew we'd miss something. The story. Here it comes. No, wait, never mind. Not the story. Okay, let's head back the other way and retrace our steps.
О, боже мой.
Now this... Well, I'll be honest, I don't recognize this place at all. Is this the story? I don't think so. I can't quite recall, but I believe my story took place in an office building. Is that correct? Do you remember, Stanley? Well, do you know what? Since I've completely forgotten what we were supposed to be doing, how about this? You win! Congratulations! I know you put in a lot of hard work, and it really paid off, so good job. Oh, no, I don't feel right about this at all. We both know you didn't put in any actual work for that win. Some people win fair and square, and this was not one of those situations. Okay? I'm getting weirded out by whatever this place is. I don't care what might happen this time. I have to restart. All right, I've got a solution. This time, to make sure we don't get lost, I've employed the help of the Stanley Parable adventure line. Just follow the line. How simple is that?
Так, сейчас, секунду, собаку выпущу. Так, я тут.
No, I'm done. We're leaving it up to the line from now on.
То есть тут разветвления уже не будет, да? Теперь только по линии идем.
You see, the line knows where the story is. It's over in this direction. Onward, Stanley, to destiny. Though, here's a thought. Wouldn't wherever we end up be our destination, even if there's no story there? Or to put it another way, is the story of no destination still a story? Simply by the act of moving forward, are we implying a journey such that a destination is inevitably conjured into being by the very manifestation of the nature of life itself? Okay, Stanley, I need to follow this train of thought for a minute. Just stick with me. Now, we can both agree that the nature of existence is in fact a byproduct of one's subjective experience of that existence, right? Okay. Now, if my experience of your existence rests inside of your subjective experience of this office, is this office, in fact, the skeleton of my own relative experiential mental subjective construct? Whoa. Hang on. That got a bit weird back there. Well, I'd like to apologize. Not sure where I was going with all that.
Да, где-то понесло.
I think what we need right now is a bit of music to lighten the mood.
Да, это помню. Это потрясающе.
Cut the music, go back and look at that fern. Stanley, this fern will be very important later in the story. Make sure you study it closely and remember it carefully. You won't want to miss anything.
Запомнил, спасибо. Уже забыл.
Wait, what? We're back at the office? No. Line, you do know we're looking for the Stanley Parable, right? The story? Is any of this ringing a bell? Oh, no, Line, how could you have done this to us? And after we trusted you.
Да, вон пират. Да, только сейчас заметил.
No, I can't take this anymore. To hell with it. Restart. You know what, Stanley? I say forget the adventure line. What's it ever done for us? We're intelligent people, right? Why can't we make up our own story?
Вообще занятно, что вот именно из этого рута, когда ты ломаешь игру, и рассказчик пытается ее как-то починить, и ничего не получается, из этого, в принципе, отдельный вот это экспириенс можно взять, ну, не знаю, на полчаса, на час, и в Стиме продавать за, ну, понятное дело, ну, не существенно, но хоть какие-то деньги, и да, получать кучу фанатов.
What do you want our story to be? Go wild. Use your imagination. Whatever it might be, Stanley, I'm ready for it. Oh, no, not you again. Stanley, I'd also like to veto the line from having any role in our awesome new story. No lines or monitor rooms. Just don't acknowledge it. We should be fine. Ah, a choice.
Боже,
we
тут
get
еще и
to
выбор
make a
будет.
decision. From here, the story is in our control. How important we mustn't squander the opportunity. In fact, I believe I need a minute to think here. Just walk in circles for a minute. Okay, so I know that each door has to lead somewhere, which means that somewhere, the place where we're trying to go, there must be a reverse door that leads here. And that in turn means that our destination corresponds with the counter-inverted reverse door's origin. So starting from the right, let us ask, will taking the right door lead us to where we're going? And since the answer is clearly yes, then by all accounts, the door on the right is the correct one. Another victory for logic. Come, Stanley, our destiny awaits.
А, нет, выбора не будет.
The confusion ending. You're telling me that's what this is? It's all one giant ending? And we're supposed to restart the game, what, eight times? That's really how all this goes? It's all determined? So now, according to the schedule, I restart again. Then what? Am I just supposed to forget?
Блин.
Well, what if I don't want to forget? My mind goes blank simply because it's written here on this thing, wall. Well, who consulted me? Why don't I get to decide? Why don't I get a say in all of this? Is it really? No, it can't be. I don't want it to be. I don't want the game to keep restarting. I don't want to forget what's going on. I don't want to be trapped like this. I won't restart the game. I won't do it. I won't do it. I won't do it.
Лаборатор хер знает.
And the timer stopped? Does that mean, did we do it? Did we break the cycle? The, whatever it is that made this schedule? How would we even know?
Да, лаборатор, там нет концовки с Rocket League. Там вот, собственно, это есть эта концовка, но до Rocket League не доходит.
So, okay. I guess now we just wait. You know, I suppose in some way that this is a kind of story. Wouldn't you agree? I'm not quite sure if we're in the destination or the journey. Though they're always saying that
серьезно, да? Майнкрафт портал?
Not the destination. So I hope that's where we are.
Блин,
right
я не
now.
помню этого.
We'll find out, won't we? Eventually. Well, in the meantime, if you...
Блин. Я подозреваю, что этот труд еще продолжится. Так, кто звонит, кто звонит? Нет телефон. Он там, что ли? Ничего не понимаю. У меня в офисе. Ну вот же он. А, вот этот? Не он. Этот. Вот напротив этого, что ли? Так. Ну это эта комната. А, боже мой, спасибо. Да, Саре медицину уже не поможет.
If at any time you believe you are listening to a recorded message, please terminate it immediately and cease all flow of information from the recorded message into your perceptual sphere. Thank you, and have a pleasant day.
То есть я везде был, кроме вот этого места. Это, возможно, отдельный рут будет. Да. Да, лаборатор прикольно. Ну, это насчет портала. Блин, я не знаю, я полностью забыл это. Нет, ничего нельзя сделать. Но это, видимо, потом нужно будет, когда ты пароль знаешь. Так, у нас что, уже все, да, перезапустился? Так, ну давайте, значит, эту правую сейчас немного помучаем.
Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. Standing now in this incredible room, Stanley for the first, but eager to get back to business.
Так, вот тут мы налево пошли и спустились на этом подъемнике. Так, вот теперь, значит, сюда.
Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago. Look, Stanley, I think perhaps
вниз мы не падали. Блин, давайте вниз, что ли, попробуем упасть.
I realize that investing your trust in someone else can be difficult, but the fact is that the story has been about nothing but you all this time. There's someone you've been neglecting, Stanley. Someone you've forgotten about. Please, Stop trying to make every decision by yourself. Now, I'm not asking for me, I'm asking for her.
Это...
This is it, Stanley.
Этот финал к жене
Your
ведет?
chance to redeem yourself, to put your work aside, to let her back into your life. She's been waiting.
Это мне назад нужно вернуться?
That's her, Stanley. You need to be the one to do this, to reach out to her. If you can truly place your faith in another, then pick up the phone.
Давайте подождем, наверное. А, Зименник, блин, не помню. Ну, о, нихера себе кто тут накурился. Нет? Я столько не курил. Может, можно вытащить?
Stanley picked up the phone. The white light engulfed him, filling him not just with radiance, but with hope. Hope for a life reunited one... Wait. Stanley, did you just unplug
Блин, вот
the
этого я не
phone?
помню. Возможно,
No, that wasn't supposed to
этого
be
не
a
было.
choice. How
Или
did
этого
you
не
do
делал.
that? You actually chose incorrectly. I didn't even know that was possible. Let me double check. No, it's definitely here, clear as day. Stanley picks up the phone. He's taken to his apartment where he finds his wife, and the two pledge themselves to one another. Music comes in, fade to white, roll credits. Not picking up the phone is actually somehow an incorrect course of action. How is that even possible? None of these decisions were supposed to mean anything. I don't understand. How on earth are you making meaningful choices? What did you... Wait a second. Did I just see... No, that's not possible. I can't believe it. How had I not noticed it sooner? You're not Stanley. You're a real person. I can't believe I was so mistaken. This is why you've been able to make correct and incorrect choices. And to think I've been letting you run around in this game for so long. If you'd made any more wrong choices, you might have negated it entirely. It's as though you completely ignored even the most basic safety protocol for real-world decision-making. Or did you not grasp the severity of the situation? Well, I won't have that kind of risk on my watch. I'm going to stop the game for a moment so we can educate
Да, он не
you
знает, с кем
properly on
связался.
safe decision-making in the real world. Please observe this helpful
Он не
instructional
знает,
video.
что связался с человеком, который не может выбрать, какой телефон звонит.
It's the best part of being a real person. But if used incorrectly, can also be the most dangerous. For example, in this scenario, a hypothetical real person named Rupert has a choice. He could invent a machine that eliminates food shortages across the world to make life better for all people.
Господи, саранчи
Or he
делают
could spend
бургеры.
years of hard work forgetting how to read. Which choice would you make? Remember that unlike here, the real world makes sense, and at no time should you
Второй
make a
выбор это
choice
мой
that does
выбор.
not conform to rational logic. If you find yourself speaking with a person who does not make sense, in all likelihood, that person is not real. Allow the person to finish their thought, then provide an excuse why you cannot continue talking. Turn to a partner and practice saying, "My goodness, is it 4:30? I'm supposed to be having a back, sack, and crack."
Господи, важные жизненные советы дают.
Excellent. Making choices on a regular basis is the best part to a healthy decision-making process. Most medical professionals recommend making at least 8 choices
слишком
per
много.
day. Do you make more than 8? Less? And finally, if you begin to wonder if your choices are actually meaningful and whether you'll ever make a significant contribution to the world,
Бля, какой у него
just
огромный
remember
галстук.
that in the vast infiniteness of space, your thoughts and problems are materially insignificant, and the feeling should subside. At this time, your instructor will guide you in an exercise to test and reinforce the material covered in this video.
Ah, welcome back. You may have noticed that this room has begun to deteriorate as a result of narrative contradiction.
Вот этого не
Not to
помню, да.
worry. Now that you're properly informed on good decision-making, we're going to revisit a choice you made just a few minutes ago and see what the correct thing to do would have been. This way, please.
Не получится. Это мне назад нужно вернуться? Блин, я бы... А может, сейчас нужно выпрыгнуть? Но, блин, этот труд слишком долгий, я не хочу это все заново проходить.
Now that we know your choices are meaningful, we can't have you jumping off the platform and dying. Imagine the main character dying senselessly halfway through the story.
Не запретили с тобой убиваться.
No sense at all. We just need to get you home as soon as possible before the narrative contradiction gets any worse. Unfortunately, it seems this place is not well equipped to deal with reality.
Так, значит, после этого возьму рут на эту супругу, а после этого пойдем смотреть новый контент.
Almost there. You'll take the door on the left, back to the correct ending, the story will have resolution once again, and you'll be home free in the real world.
Нет.
Now remember, all you need to do is behave exactly as Stanley would. That means choosing responsibly and always putting the story first. I'm quite sure you'll be up to the task. Just follow my lead and you'll be fine. All right. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left. No! Why did you do that? Quickly, hurry back in the other direction. Perhaps we're not too
там
late.
ящики перекосило. Господи, бедный мужик, мне его даже жаль. Серьезно? Меня не пускают туда? Четыре, 5. Вот это, кстати... А, хотя нет, это же у всех эти номера. Блин, кстати, вот когда там это можно номер набрать, когда там этот апокалипсис начинается, возможно, нужно номер своей вот этой... своего кабинета.
It's ruined. I can't believe, after everything we talked about, that you... My story! You've destroyed my work! Why? For what? What did you get out of that? What did you think was so special about seeing the game undone?
Как говорили в одном тупом хорроре, мы сделали это ради улзов.
And what am I supposed to do? Even if there were a way to continue, would it be worth it? To know that my story is now incorrect? How can I go back to that? I can't erase that knowledge. I'll have to live with it forever. Reliving its impossibility forever. I couldn't live that way. Is it better to shut the game down entirely? To willingly destroy all of my work? I don't know. What's the answer? What do I do? What do I do? What do I... No, I have to. I have to shut the game down. I have to. I have to.
Вот сука. Ого.
I'm here. I'm still here. Here in this pile of rubbish. With you. You. Who thought you were so clever. Now look where we are. My entire game is destroyed. It was the only thing in the world that was mine, and you've run it into the ground. What, did you think that would be funny? You just had to see? Didn't I impress upon you how important it was to be like Stanley? He actually knows how to do what I tell him to. He understands that if I say to do something, there's a damn good reason for it. That thought hadn't even occurred to you, had it? That there's a world outside of you? You're a child. Oh, my story. If you'd just gone through the door on the left, you would have seen it. There was a whole underground facility. You would have destroyed it and been victorious. It would have been so perfect. I worked so hard on it. I tried so hard to make... behave exactly as Stanley would. That means choosing responsibly and always putting the story first.
Это вот там было среди концовок, там было написано, что это этот наратор забывает прошлые события.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Господи.
No! Why did you do that? Quickly, hurry back.
Нет. Я думал, что сейчас это по кругу пойдет. Давайте сейчас попробуем.
Choosing responsibly and always putting the story first. I'm quite sure you'll be up to the task. Just follow my lead and you'll be fine. All right. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors,
Не, мужик, ты у меня, конечно, блядь, сегодня посидеешь.
No!
Нет,
Why did you do
опять?
that? Quickly, hurry back.
Ну ладно, что, идем в левую дверь.
Behave exactly as Stanley would.
Ну, я
That
уверен,
means
что ты все-таки
choosing
придешь чему-то
responsibly
интересному в
and
любом
always
случае.
putting the story first. I'm quite sure you'll be up to the task. Just follow my lead and you'll be fine. All right. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left. Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there. Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
То есть это все-таки другой рут. И тут закрыли, суки. И справа закрыли, скорее всего. Ого. Ого.
Stepping inside his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Shocked, unraveled, Stanley wondered in disbelief who orchestrated this, until he saw the door with a voice receiver next to it. Surely behind this door lay all the answers to his questions. And beyond all probability, he knew the passcode. He had seen it on his boss's computer just last week. Night Shark 115. Was this the code to open the door? Would it still work? There was only one way to find out. Stanley had been trained never to speak up, but now he would draw from within himself the courage to face the unknown. He drew a sharp breath and then spoke the code.
Это мне нужно Night Shark 115 сказать. Все серьезно? Ну просто...
Stanley spoke the code. Night Shark
Была же сеговская игра, где реально нужно микрофон использовать.
Right there on the wall.
То есть... Ну, я сомневаюсь, что в этой игре нужно микрофон использовать, но почему бы нет?
I'm sorry, is there a problem? You didn't mishear me, did you? Please speak the code into the receiver. Otherwise we can't get on with the story. This is a crucial step.
Ну-ка, тут микрофон используется? Да нет, скорее всего, наябывают.
Okay, fine. You're not gonna do it, but you know what? It's pretty humiliating to bring you this far, only for you to suddenly decide you have better things to do. I asked you for this one single thing, for your respect. The kind of respect Stanley shows for his choices. He knows what it means to take a story seriously. If you didn't want to see what I had to show you, then why did you come here? You had a choice, you know. You could have gone through the door on the right. You could have done whatever the hell you wanted over there. Why did you come this way? Speak. Say something to me. Explain yourself, you coward. You... When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Вот это да.
Stanley? Hello? Are you... Is everything okay? Stanley, please. I need you to make a choice. I need you to walk through the door. Are you listening to me? Can you hear me? Is everything all right? Stanley, this is important. The story needs you. It needs you to make a decision. It cannot exist without you. Do you understand me?
То есть это финал, в котором игрок самоустранился. И да, наратору из-за этого очень плохо.
Please choose. Do something. Anything. This is more important than you can ever know. I need this. The story needs it. So, you hear me? Are you there? Are you listening to this? Stanley, are you there? Okay.
Вот доп. Графические материалы Valve.
You need time to decide. Time to make sure your choice is correct. That is the best choice. That's all right. I'll wait for you to decide.
Вообще, конечно, ну не знаю, как минимум 30% очарования игры — это голос рассказчика. Так, а мы все, мы закончили этот труд. Так, я запомнил, Сараман, где телефон.
Hello. This is a recorded message scheduled either by you or a person in your place of work. The purpose of this message is to warn you about the dangers of recorded messages. If at any time you believe you are listening to a recorded message, please terminate it immediately.
Блин,
And
это то
cease
же
all flow
самое.
of information from the recorded message into your perceptual sphere. Thank you, and have a pleasant day.
Это, не знаю, это куда-то ведет все это. Ладно, что значит это? Идем на рут жены. После этого посмотрим, наверное, 2 раза, ну, 2 вот этих концовки в новом контенте. И, собственно, закончено сегодня. Ну, то есть еще минут 20, наверное.
Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it.
Ну, вообще, да, мы очень много концовок пропустили, где вот можно было, собственно, в последний момент что-то не то сделать и получить что-то интересное.
Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years
Давайте
ago.
упадем, что ли?
But in his eagerness to prove that he is in control of the story and no one gets to tell him what to do, Stanley leapt from the platform and plunged to his death. Good job, Stanley. Everyone thinks you are very powerful.
Я старался.
How long was I sitting there? Stanley wondered to himself. Minutes? Days? Centuries? Did something crucial happen while my senses were turned? He made a note to be more careful with time. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, this was not the correct way to the meeting room.
Отлично, он поручни добавят в одной из этих, в одном из рутов. Но я подозреваю, если постоянно падать, то нет, не добавят.
The lounge was grand, majestic, perhaps too majestic. Like a combination of a much smaller version and a much larger version of this exact room. It all made Stanley uncomfortable, and he started to bleed a little. This made him smile. At last, proof that he was human. But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left. Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired.
Этого раньше не было, да? $5000 за прыжок с этой хуйни, да вы охерели. По-моему, кстати, можно было вон туда попасть в какой-то концовке.
I'm not your enemy, really, I'm not. I realize that investing your trust in someone else can be difficult, but the fact is that the story has been about nothing but you all this time. There's someone you've been neglecting, Stanley. Someone you've forgotten about. Please, stop trying to make every decision by yourself. Now, I'm not asking for me, I'm asking for her. This is it, Stanley. Your chance to redeem yourself. To put your work aside. To let her back into your life. She's been waiting. That's her, Stanley. You need to...
Oh, Stanley, is that you? Hold on, sweetie. Sorry.
То есть у него на работе, у него на работе этот номер 427 и квартира 427. То есть такая... Да.
Gotcha. Oh, come on. Did you actually think you had a loving wife?
Я думал,
что есть. Their life to you. I'm trying to make a point here, Stanley. I'm trying to get you to see something. Come inside. Let me show you what's really going on here. Sorry, but you're in my story now.
Да, отравлен. Хотя бы отравлен. Согласен, даже отравлен.
This is a very sad story about the death of a man named Stanley. Stanley is quite a boring
О, мне сейчас придется на кнопки нажимать, да? Чтобы эмулировать вот этот офисный планктон.
Is a reminder of the inconsequential nature of his existence. Look at him there, pushing buttons, doing exactly what he's told to do. Now he's pushing a button. Now he's eating lunch. Now he's going home. Now he's coming back to work. One might even feel sorry for him, except that he's chosen this life.
Ну, идем пресс
But in his
нажимать.
mind, in his mind he can go on fantastic adventures. From behind his desk, Stanley dreamed of wild expeditions into the unknown, fantastic discoveries of new lands. It was wonderful. And each day that he returned to work was a reminder that none of it would ever happen to him.
О, ну наконец-то делом
And so he
займемся.
began to fantasize about his own job. First, he imagined that one day while at work, he stepped up from his desk to realize that all of his co-workers, his boss, everyone in the building had suddenly vanished off the face of the earth. The thought excited him terribly.
Не, ну, Сарман, в офисе из надоедливого синпая, я думаю, все хотят
He
работать.
went further.
Даже
He imagined
хронические
that he came to
безработные.
2 open doors and that he could go through either. At last, choice. It barely
Не, ну
even
вообще, конечно,
mattered what
дико
way he had
травят.
explored. The mere thought
Душат,
that his
скорее даже.
decisions would mean something was almost too wonderful to behold. As he wandered through this fantasy world, he began to fill it with many possible paths and destinations.
Мы сейчас
Down
окажемся в
one
офисе,
path
да?
lay an enormous round room with monitors and mind controls.
Да,
Down
да,
another
лаборатор,
was a
да.
yellow line that weaved in many directions, and down another was a game with a baby. And he called it the Stanley Parable. It was
Детям,
such a
чужим детям.
wonderful fantasy, and so in his head he relived it again, and then again, and again, over and over, wishing beyond hope that it would never end, that he might always feel this free. Surely there's an answer down some new path, mustn't there be? Perhaps if he played just one more time. But there is no answer. How could there possibly be? In reality, all he's doing is pushing the same buttons he always has. Nothing has changed.
Не, ну,
The longer he
вообще
spends
потрясающе,
here, the
конечно.
more invested he gets, the more he forgets which life is the real one.
То есть я не знаю, это
And
наполовину
I'm
Кавка,
trying to
наполовину
tell him
Монти
this,
Пайтон.
that in this world he can never be anything
Ну,
but an observer.
хотя сказать
That as
наполовину
long as he
Терри
remains
Терри
here,
Гиллиам, так и
he's
Монти
slowly
Пайтон.
killing himself. But he won't listen to me. He won't stop. Here, watch this. Stanley, the next time the screen asks you to push a button, do not do it.
Что, не будем нажимать? Ну, просто я подозреваю, что я просто там время потрачу зря.
You see? Can he just not hear me? How can I tell him in a way that he'll understand that every second he remains here, he's electing to kill himself? How can I get him to see what I see? How can I make him look at himself? I suppose I can't, not in the way I want him to. But I don't make the rules. I simply play to my intended purpose, the same as Stanley. We're not so different, I suppose. I'll try once more to convey all this to him. I'm compelled to. I must. Perhaps, well, maybe this time he'll see. Maybe this time. And I tried again. And Stanley pushed a button. And I tried again. And Stanley pushed a button. And I tried.
Так, это у нас отдельный рут сейчас будет, посвященный этому всему? Или все?
How long was I sitting there? Stanley wondered to himself. Minutes? Days? Centuries? Did something crucial happen while my senses were turned? He made a note to be more careful with time from now on.
Давайте что, новый контент пойдем смотреть.
Oh, new content? What does that mean, new content?
Господи Иисусе. Да, вообще очень интересный какой-то новый контент. Просто невероятно.
Hello, and thank you for playing the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe. As you may know, the Stanley
В
Parable
общем,
was
да,
a
наверное,
video game
тут нового
released in
контента-то и нет, кроме
2013
вот этой
on home
небольшой
computers.
экскурсии в разработку.
After receiving critical and commercial success, it was expanded upon in 2022 with the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe, a reimagining of the game for consoles and home computers. The Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe features exciting new content that broadens and expands the world of the Stanley Parable, delighting audiences the world over.
Подозреваю какой-то, да, инфернальный пиздеж.
Please step inside and see what thrilling new adventures await in the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe.
Ладно, в общем, если вот,
this sounds delightful.
если вот реально
I'm
нет
very
нового
excited to
контента,
see the thrilling
если бы я
new
купил игру за
Ultra
сколько там
Deluxe
450 рублей,
content.
я бы немного подгорел. Потому что оригинал я все-таки более-менее хорошо
Okay,
помню
so
до сих
far
пор.
it's an elevator. Nothing special yet, but I'm sure it's just the beginning of a mesmerizing adventure.
Не, ну серьезно, если тут не будет контента, то, с одной стороны 3DS полный, с другой стороны это неебически смешно будет.
Should we be moving somewhere? Oh, there we go. All right, finally, at long last, it's on to the new content. I've never been more ready. Let's do it.
Потому что ожидания на новый контент, они были невероятные. Ну, то есть ожидания даже не на качество нового контента, а то, что он будет. Его будет много.
Initial impressions of Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe, mostly tedious. It's as if Oh, okay. Let's see the content. Give me the content, Stanley. All right, let's see it.
Нихуя себе.
The jump circle?
Ебануться. Ой, блядь. Революция. Ну, это реально сиквел. Ну, то есть, понятное дело, это вот не... Вот эти все вот эти аддоны, которые выдают себя за сиквелы. Это реально сиквел. Полноценный. Это революционное все-таки нововведение. Он изменил все. Да. Больше у меня прыжков нет. Уважаю.
Is that it? Surely that's not all the new content. There has to be something else, right?
Да, да. И ради каждой комнаты нужно минуту в лифте ехать.
Initial impressions of this game are not positive. It's just elevators and jumping. Is this what passes for exciting new content? If this is new content, then I could just read you the whole dictionary. There's 20 hours of new content right there. Hell, I could count to 30 trillion. You could put that on the box. The Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe, now with over 1,000 hours of new content. And oh, wait. There's more.
То есть тонкость в том, что вот этот ремастер, да.
I knew there had to be something else.
Переиздание. Его очень долго делали. По-моему, изначально хотели даже в 2018 году выпускать. Ну, в 2019 точно. И вот, да, переносы. То есть, казалось, они делают какую-то бесконечную игру.
That's it? Oh, you've got to be kidding me. You see, Stanley? This is what happens when greedy video game developers with no respect for their fan base rush a cheap expansion to market for no reason other than to make an easy dollar. And don't get me started on the level of craftsmanship that's gone into it. In fact, I'm looking right now at the game's achievements, and it's hard to believe one of them actually says, "Test achievement, please ignore." What quality assurance department signed off on this? I'm infuriated and I'm offended, and I intend to find these people on Twitter and hold them personally accountable. It's my fault, Stanley. I built up too much anticipation around the new content, I'm afraid. It could never have lived up to such expectations. If you're still with me, why don't we just reset the game, and we'll try to get back to what the Stanley Parable is really about. No frills, no gimmicks. Just you and me having a great time together like always. What do you say?
That sounds gay. Че, пойдем еще раз смотреть новый контент? Воу, это все-таки новый контент. Они не набрали. Ебануться.
Stanley, come over here.
Да, вот Kind Fox, да.
I want to show you something.
Удивлялся про вентиляцию. Да, вентиляция. Давайте вентиляцию действительно пойдем. Ебануться.
Okay, you remember how cheap and unsatisfying the new Ultra Deluxe content turned out to be? Well, it got me thinking about the past, and how much better the Stanley Parable used to be. So I made something special and tucked it away here where the game's developers won't find it. Just our little secret. Take a look. I call it the memory zone. It's where I've been storing all my favorite memories so I can relive the peak experiences of my life whenever I want. Experiences like the launch of the Stanley Parable on PC.
То есть тут опять вот надрачивание, да, времена давно минувшие будет. Ну, кстати, можно было там еще и...
You see, Stanley, doesn't the memory zone remind you of how wonderful Stanley Parable was before it was sullied with a cheap re-release?
Да.
Remember back in October of 2013, when the game originally launched? Back then, video games had integrity. Back then, it all meant something. Oh, the waste.
Она реально в такой упаковке издавалась? Мне казалось, что такие в таких коробках игры на ПК выходили лет 25 назад. Бля, это гениально. Да, какой-то, боже мой, да. Это награда Бафты Last of Us, да. Нет, Стенли Парабл. Calamity Завкил, добрый вечер. Ну да, понятное дело, когда на модном была, она когда-то какой там 2008, кажется, год был. Да, темное время. Сколько она стоила? Нет инфы. Нихера себе саундтрек был. Это типа первый заработанный доллар. Господи, ну... На всякий случай, да, извиняюсь. Calamity Завкель. Calamity, извините, наверное, правильное ударение. Так, ну эту концовку мы уже получили.
And over here is where I keep reviews of the Stanley Parable. Like this stunning triumph of games journalism, 10 out of 10 from Destructoid.com. James Stephanie Sterling writes, and I quote, "Where so many games that aspire to be more than games end up less than any form of art, Stanley Parable strives and then succeeds to be every game ever created." Did you hear that, Stanley? Every game ever created. That's how grand and all-encompassing the original Stanley Parable was. It was literally every game ever created. It was Skyrim, it was Persona 3, it was all of them. And now, it's nothing. It's no games at all. It isn't even the Stanley Parable anymore. It's just a husk now. A lifeless husk with an hour of new elevator content.
Ну ладно, вот этого контента стоило ждать 9 лет. Я доволен. Так, там еще одна рецензия. Да, Сарамага, у него этот Jimquisition довольно популярный на ютубе шоу.
Moving passage, this time from GameSpot.com. The Stanley Parable is both a richly stimulating commentary on the nature of choice in games and one that offers some of the most enjoyable, surprising, and rewarding choices I've ever been confronted with in a game. 9 out of 10. Don't you get it, Stanley? The game was perfect. It didn't need anything else. It didn't need new content. It just needed to be left alone. To spend the rest of time collecting dust in the hallowed hall
объясняют игроку, почему не стоило что-то делать в игре. Почему они 9 лет ни хера не делали. Боже мой, это гениально.
These were simpler times, Stanley.
Не все, выходить уже нужно.
But I wouldn't give to go back. To have it all over again.
Я хочу в серьезную комнату. Пожалуйста, пожалуйста, пустите меня в серьезную комнату. Твари. Может, туда как-то можно попасть? Вот эта полоска, это случаем не из Скайрима? Я где-то видел вот такой вот элемент интерфейса. Не помню где. Абсолютно что угодно. А буквально что угодно. Да, Чечлан. Ну, возможно, туда что-то будет. А, вот туда вниз нужно идти. Да, Чечлан, спокойной ночи. Завтра приходи, отличный фильм будет. Ну, как отлично, мне понравился. Ого. О, боже мой. О боже, вот это реально новый контент.
God, no.
Stanley,
it's a collection of reviews from Steam,
the
online video game distributor. I haven't looked at these in years. I can't even imagine what's been collecting.
Надеюсь, тут будет тот же саундтрекер, где игру назвали этой залупой японской. Или как там. А, хотя тут Steam ревьется. О боже мой, так.
Honestly, I could not be bothered to play this game to full completion. The narrator is obnoxious and unfunny, with his humor and dialogue proving to be more irritating than entertaining.
О боже, это гениально.
I'm not trying to be funny. I'm trying to make a serious work of art. I suppose I could write up a handful of gags to insert into the Stanley Parable, but the game is already such a densely layered web of profound philosophical insights that I can't even imagine where I'd have the room to stick them. Okay, let's see what this one says. While the idea for the game is good, for someone who prefers non-linear games, this preachiness gets annoying fast. Preachy? Stanley, I'm not preachy, am I? You can tell me if I'm preachy. Honestly, you can. Oh, goodness. This is actually quite shocking for me. Well, to be honest, I had always thought of the game's dialogue as being rather terse to begin with. You can't know how much fluff I cut from the game to get it to feel as light and airy as it... Well, I always thought it did. But maybe it wasn't. Oh dear. What an awful memory.
Мне, кстати, вот безумно все-таки нравятся местные локации. То есть и офисные помещения, и склады, и вот это вот.
Like a failure. Like I let these people down.
То есть, ну, простенькие модели, конечно, простенькие текстуры, но, блин, настолько безумно стильно выглядит. А, кот охуенно. Ну да, Last of Us, вот, блядь, настоящее, сука, искусство, сука. Не, ну, понятное дело, наверное, все-таки вклад Last of Us в геймпром, он гораздо выше, чем Стэнли. Ну, просто, блядь, ну, я не знаю. Давайте еще и, блядь, Оскар давайте блокбастерам хотя, блядь. Ну, вообще давали, ладно.
What's this one got to say? You constantly have to stop doing anything so the narrator can catch up with his long-winded explanations of
10 часов наиграл, нихуя себе.
I wish there was a skip button. A skip button? Well, yes. Yes, I think we can do that. If I'm truly too preachy, then maybe letting you skip ahead for just a moment, surely it couldn't hurt.
Я не знаю,
то есть... we can strike these negative reviews from the record. Only positive reviews of the Stanley Parable. That's my motto today, and it's always been my motto. I'd do anything for the customer, Stanley. Yes, a skip button we shall have.
Если брать как опыт, Gone Home, ну, на одном уровне со Стэнли, у меня тут даже вообще без вопросов. Но если брать все-таки сценарий и, наверное, ценность для жанра, хотя, понятное дело, никому эта ценность нахуй не нужна, потому что никто подобное не пытался. Ну и, наверное, даже все-таки смелость, вот это все остальное, то да, все-таки Стэнли, он гораздо выше. Но Gone Home тоже
And
отлично.
Here it is. Go ahead and give it a shot. I'll pop you forward in time so that the second my incessant droning starts to bore you, with just the push of a button, you'll have zipped right past it. It's what the players have been asking for, and I'm very proud to have delivered. No more listening to me rambling on and on and on. No. The Stanley Parable is a game for the people, and if the people want silence, then by goodness, that's what they're going to get. Well, don't sit around waiting for me to shut up. Go ahead and make me shut up. Here, we'll pretend that I've just begun an interminable monologue, and it goes something like this.
the story, and the choices, or what have you, and therefore, by becoming it is, so on and so forth, until inevitably, we all until the end of time, at which time everything all
Да,
once,
вот согласен.
so, now you see, blah, 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 blah. We've eaten too much and it can't be
Хотя,
just
наверное,
yet.
прикол в том, что на Гонком ориентировались больше, чем на Стенли Парабл, но...
Therefore becomes impossible to manufacture. It went on
Ну, то есть,
for nearly
тот же, вот ремейнс
10,000
Эдит
years,
Финч,
until
все-таки он
just
Гонком на
yesterday, here and there,
50%.
forward and back, and never a minute
Но
before lunchtime. It can't be.
в то же время, да, жанр симуляторов ходьбы он в любом случае сложен. Так что это было влияние на геймпро, господи, игра пром на протяжении 3 лет, 4, а дальше все, оно исчезло.
Until inevitably, we all until the end of time, at which time everything all at once. So now you see, blah 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 blah. We've eaten too much and it can't be just yet. No, no, until 245. That the logic of elimination working backwards, the deduction therefore becomes impossible to manufacture. It went on for nearly 10,000
Да,
years,
никто не пытался
until just
сделать что-то
yesterday,
уровня
here and there,
Стэнли, или
forward
хотя бы
and back, and never a
похожее.
moment before lunchtime. It can't
Ну,
be.
кроме, разумеется,
It's
автора
the
Стэнли,
only thing
который
there
его
is.
делает.
How many billions left until
Хотя,
so much more
как
than
эти игры
forever
назывались,
ago,
там вроде
which is
2
why
таких
I
более-менее
say
крупных.
the
Очень
story
крутые,
and the
конечно.
choices, or what have you, and therefore, by becoming it is, so on and so forth, until inevitably, we all until the end of time, at which time everything all at
Так,
once.
он же повторяется,
now
не
you
понял.
see, blah 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 blah. We've eaten too much and it can't be just yet. No, no, until 245. That the logic of elimination working backwards.
Да.
Oh, you're back, you see.
Да, лаборатор
You were
что-то
only
заговорился и
frozen in
пропустил
time
всё.
for a few minutes, but it was plenty of time for me to deliver a long, rambling monologue full of unnecessary verbal flourishes and lengthy ruminations on the nature of choice in video games. Of course, I happen to believe it was perhaps one of my more profound such ruminations.
Да, заметно,
Not that, of
заметно.
course, you need a description of it, but if I had to describe it, I'd say it was perhaps less of a rumination and more of a treatise. Or maybe a manifesto.
Мне
Look,
сейчас
I'll
снова
outline it for
придется
you very
мотать, да?
briefly, and you can tell me what you think. Okay, so my theory is that any choice you've ever made is simply a series of choices made by the person who you are, or were, or will be at the time of having made said choice. That is to say, if by articulating a choice you've already... Well, there, sport. You really did catch me rambling on a bit, didn't you? But that's the power of the button. The minute I start to go off on a thoughtless display of self-absorption, it's right at your fingertips to go poof.
Подозреваю, я
it's all
еще не раз так
over. Oh, I
кнопку
can't
нажму.
wait to see what Cookie 9 will say about this, and whether they'll edit the rating of their Steam review, or at least change some of the wording, perhaps. To be honest, I don't even know if one can change their review in the first
Можно.
place. I guess I should become better educated on exactly how Steam works. Perhaps that would have been the smart thing to check on before I went about this whole exercise of making the skip button. Although I have to imagine that after seeing this exciting new technology at work, surely whoever it is runs Steam will instantly run out and implement a new feature to make it possible to edit one's review, merely because of this very situation. Yes, I think that's quite likely. Or perhaps they'll simply grant this particular user the ability to change their review, so that the feature is not widely used. Look, I would even be okay with Steam altering this particular review so that it reads as something more beneficial. Something along the lines of, this game is the best game. Let me start over. How about this? From the ashes of depravity rises the phoenix of quality. How else to describe the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe? Such a revolutionary... Okay, welcome back, Stanley. Now, I should say that the amount of time the button has been skipping through is becoming longer and longer. That last one was, well, I want to say maybe 30, 45 minutes.
Дверь пропала.
It's not unendurable by any means, but it's, well, there's really only so much I can ramble
Да,
on to
подозреваю,
myself
что
about. I know,
вот это
shocking,
двигается
isn't
к
it?
чему-то
But at
плохому
any
всё.
rate, I do suggest that we not press the button again. I think the skip button has been aptly demonstrated, and we can say goodbye to it and just... Wait, how do we get out of here? Where did the door go? Wasn't there a door that led into this room? I do feel quite certain.
Ну, лаборатор, я решил, что там уже дальше
How
повторяться
else would
будет.
we have gotten into the room in the first place? I don't think one can enter a room without a door of some sort, or a window, or something like that. Do you see a window anywhere? A porthole? A sufficiently large crack in the wall? I'll take any of these. All I want is for us to move on and to please step away from the skip button, to go anywhere other than the skip button. There was a door here before, wasn't there? I swear there was. Where did it go? Can you maybe just ram your way through a wall? Is there any possibility that you could, say, slam your body into the wall until enough damage is done for you to be able to leave? Please, I'll take any option at all. I'm asking you to work with me here. We need a door. We need a door of some kind. I can work with any kind of door as long as it can open and lead from one room to another. I'm going to step away for just a moment, and I'm going to try to find us a door. I don't know how exactly to remove a door and place it in a different wall, but I will find a way, I promise. You just need to not do anything. Don't press the skip button. Please, please, please do not press the skip button. Just wait here for me, and don't press the skip button. Got it? Yes, good. I'll be right back.
Да, подозреваю, в любом случае придется нажать на кнопку. Да. Не, ну можно, конечно, подождать. Ну, кстати, если они все-таки из всего этого действительно много концовок родили, то, блин, это прикольно.
Stanley,
Вот,
Stanley, please don't push the button again. It's been 12 hours. You've just been frozen there. I don't know why the skips are getting longer, but they're really, truly getting longer. And my God, there's no way out of the room. Stanley, the door is gone. It's completely gone. I've looked at it from every angle. I've checked every one of those walls 1,000 times. And there's no door, Stanley. There's no door. There's just you and the button, and if you keep pressing it, I have no idea what will happen. I have no idea how long I'll be made to sit here, and more than anything else, I don't know how to stop you from pressing the button again. I can't control anything in this room, Stanley. I can't touch it, and I have to believe, I have to know that sooner or later, no matter how much I plead with you, you're going to press the button again. Why would you? I've been thinking and thinking, and I don't know what I can do to convince you otherwise. Oh my God.
Ну, Сараман, тут же концовок же не 100 штук. Тут в оригинале было штук 10, например. То есть оно кажется задротским, но нет, оно, эта игра такая компактная, вот часа на 3,5. То есть она вот далеко не такая ветвистая, как может показаться. Ну да, я тоже вот какие-то вроде бы две концовки, которые довольно проблематичны были, я их на ютубе посмотрел.
Petulant as a child. Oh, Stanley, you're back. You're back.
Цветок сдох.
Oh, my goodness, I have someone to talk to again. Stanley, I think it's been a
В общем, этот рассказчик, конечно, изменился сильно. Он, конечно, всегда любил поговорить, но сейчас совсем страшно. Ну и, конечно, замечательно, что все это было таким, я не знаю, ярмаркой тщеславия. И привело вот сюда вот, неожиданно.
Doesn't that feel like what we've already been doing? Me just talking? But it isn't, Stanley. It isn't the same at all. It isn't even close. Because I know you can't hear me once you push that button. That's what I'm realizing now, Stanley. I'm realizing that I needed to know that someone was listening. I needed there to be a vessel through which my words were moving. It was the vessel I needed, Stanley. Not the outcomes, not the story. None of that matters anymore. I'll give it all up. I'll give up every branching path. I'll burn my story to the ground. One single thing I need, and God, I can see now that I need it more than anything, is to know that someone else is taking it in. These words that I'm saying, I need to know you because maybe, Stanley, if you can hear me,
Хотя, в принципе, я подозреваю, что я уже почти все видел. Так что, видимо, этот стрим Стенли будет последним.
Was I scared of that all along? Perhaps, yes. Perhaps I've been scared this whole time, that if I stop speaking, I'll slip backwards into the silence and be consumed by it. I can't be taken by
Вообще, время-то незаметно пролетело. Сколько там? 2 часа с половиной. И это учитывая, что я почти все видел до этого. Не, ну, чувак, ну спасибо.
You are so tremendously far away from me. When you press that button, you're still right there, but I know you're so tremendously far away from me. When you press that button, you're still right there, but I know you're so tremendously far away from me. When you press that button, you're still right there, but I know you're so tremendously far away from me. When you press that button, you're still right there, but I know you're so tremendously far away from me. When you press that button, you're still right there, but I know you're so tremendously far away from me. When you press that button, you're still right there, but I know you're so tremendously far away from me. When you press that button, you're still right there, but I know you're so tremendously far away from me. When you press that button, you're still right there, but I know you're so tremendously far away from me. When you press that button, you're still right there, but I know you're so tremendously far away from me. When you press that button, you're still right there, but I know you're so tremendously far away from me. Oh, no, it's you. You're here again. Welcome. I have had time to think about you and about us and about everything we've been through. I've had so much time. I stopped keeping track after a year. Have you ever sat down in one place and not moved for one entire year?
22 концовки.
For you. To begin with, there is only regret. There is only the turning wheel of missed opportunities. I felt nothing at all but regret for the longest time, Stanley. Days,
Да, это жесть. То есть я это точно вряд ли осилю.
And when that feeling had begun to subside,
Видимо, да, придется на
what took
YouTube
its
идти.
place is what I can only describe
Ну или
as the
все-таки второй
collapse of
стрим.
every moment I have ever experienced my entire life. All of them collapsed down into a single instant. In that instant, I could see myself clearly, calmly, with a collected heart. It was an impossibly rich wellspring of both delight and disgust simultaneously. I was consumed by it. I could do nothing but wallow in it for what felt like an eternity, for what I now know was far less. You see, it was a revelation for me. It was unlike anything I had ever known. It was a space without consequence, without action or outcome. It was divorced entirely from the question of free will that you and I have squabbled over for so long. There could be no one ending, no singular outcome of events, not if all events existed in the same moment, and I felt freed. I felt unburdened by the need to manifest a particular outcome into being. I saw that I could allow myself to exist along all timelines, and that each of them was simply a strand in the web of my being. It was incredible. The spaciousness, the equanimity.
Да, тут слишком много лаборатор. Он все, помер? Там, наверное, дверь появилась сзади, да? Я подозреваю, да, только сейчас дошло, что там дверь как раз рассказчик убрал, чтобы меня тут запытать своими вот этими. Ну, то есть, это, кстати, в принципе, довольно прикольная штука. То есть, вот, рассказчик не видел Стэнли, игрока, сколько там, ну, чудовищное количество лет, вот это 9 лет. И вот, собственно, новый контент, это рассказчик начинает просто все уши прожужживать игроку, тему, да, на всем накипевшим за эти годы. Да, тут 3 стримера, ну, обычно все втроем сидим, и я тут наименьший брони.
It was meant to speak to the human condition. But where are the jokes? Where are the jokes? They bemoaned, they screamed, they gnashed their teeth and said, entertain us. It wasn't enough. They had to leave a pathetic little thumbs-down review and make all their pitiful demands. But then, he's talking too much, they said. First, he didn't entertain us, now he won't shut up. It's the inconsistency, it's the lack of accountability, it's the unwillingness to examine with an uncompromising heart the words that they are speaking into the world. As though there were no consequences for a lack of cohesion in one's assessment of others. But of course, absolutely anyone can leave a review. So here's what we get. We get these demands that seek everything and are accountable to nothing. We get a world where someone will say, oh, there should be a skip button.
Ну, Сараман, ну, ой, господи, Сараман здесь, да, лаборатор. Поговорить больше не о чем было. Мы и в Сонике недавно лучших вайфу отбирали. Да, это было очень страшно.
The end is never the end, 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 is never the end.
Это когда-нибудь закончится. Кстати, часы упали. Подозреваю, что в одной из этих перезагрузок сзади все-таки появляется дверь. И ты ее можешь просто пропустить, если нажмешь на кнопку. А в этой двери новая концовка. Ну, я. Ого. Так, ну что, сейчас тут совсем все валится. Ну, наконец-то меня выпустили. И да, конечно, это вот очень сильно похоже на портал. Наверное, же больше, чем оригинальный Стенли Парабл. Это ночь настала или там все, собственно, апокалипсис случился? Это, я не знаю, человечество сдохло, и там теперь новая раса хозяйничает. Эти лавкрафтовские пауки из Антарктиды. О, боже мой. Я свободен? Наконец-то я свободен. Да, так и понял. Calamity of Kill. Задумка, конечно, просто гениальная. То есть все начинается с того, как вот действительно, да, чуваки, игра замечательная, вот тут рецухи, блядь, послушайте, какие классные, как нас все любили. А потом, значит, вот это такой начинается самопригорание из-за негативных рецензий. Дальше вот эта дурацкая кнопка, которая, казалось бы, ну просто фича, как вот эти прыжки никому не нужные. И потом, собственно, да, пошло-поехало. Да, нет, Сурван, походу, помер. Так, это мы все закончили рут, да?
Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
А что, пойдем в дверь? New content.
Oh, good. You noticed my
О,
sign.
боже мой.
Yes, I have something very exciting.
То есть тут, походу, да, тут будет появляться контент еще дальше. Ну, в смысле, какие-то новые двери. Я не говорю, что поддерживать будут новым контентом. Много о другом. Так, и на всякий случай, да, перед вентиляцией была дверь еще. Ну, давайте еще одну концовку посмотрим. И я пойду, блядь, перед сном 2 больших тарелки окрошки.
The original Stanley Parable was a landmark, and any new content for it should live up to that legacy. So forget this ultra deluxe nonsense. I say we take it one step even further.
Так, это еще
Which is
что-то
why
новое?
I'm very proud to announce for the first time ever the Stanley Parable 2.
Господи, Иисусе. Инвестор шоу-кейс.
Yes, you see, isn't this far superior to a measly re-release with a few minor additions? Think of all the new territory we'll cover with a fully fledged sequel. An entirely new experience, built from the ground up. Why, there are so many possibilities. It could go in so many different directions. This is what fans have truly been asking for. Calling it the Stanley Parable 2 is just so much catchier than Ultra Deluxe, don't you think? Ultra Deluxe? What does it even mean? But the Stanley Parable 2, now that's an artistic statement right there. It's future-oriented. It screams progress and innovation and long-term franchising potential.
Они вернулись 2 двери, Господи Иисусе. Да, замечательно. Это они, да, лого выбирают.
Now, to be clear, I haven't quite nailed down what exactly the Stanley Parable 2 is going to be, but let's take a look at some of the features I've been developing for it. I figure that if I can loosely organize a handful of interesting concepts, that surely the game will sort of naturally spring up around them. It'll all work itself out. Game development is much more of a fuzzy magic than anything scientific or logical, really.
Господи, сколько они, конечно, контента для существующей игры доделали. Блин, я ведь так и не зашел в дверь. О, боже мой.
Here we are. Go on. try out some of the new features.
О, нихера себе, тут реально можно много ходить. Ну ладно, что, попробуем за 10 минут набежать и буду заканчивать. 3 часа, охереть. 3 часа стримим.
For the Stanley Parable 2, I asked myself, what do players really want? And of course, the first and most obvious answer is that they want to be individually recognized and validated as people. So with that in mind, my first addition to the game is this button, which speaks the name of the person playing the game. Isn't that wonderful?
Jim.
Sorry, I should have clarified. Right now, the button only says the name Jim. But of course, in the final game, this button will say your name, whatever name that is. Here, let's have you role-play as Jim to really simulate the full experience of this feature. Just play along. I promise you'll love it. Okay, here we go. Let's take a deep breath, clear your mind, forget whoever you are, and simply become a person named Jim. I want...
Jim.
Whoa, hold on. I wasn't finished setting up the backstory. If you don't properly roleplay as Jim, then you'll never understand the impact of this button. Otherwise, it's just a stupid button that says somebody else's name. Okay, we're doing it again, and this time let me finish first. Now, allow yourself to become Jim. Imagine yourself driving to work as Jim, playing frisbee on the weekends as Jim, staying up all night for a popcorn and horror movie sleepover as Jim, developing a crippling substance addiction as Jim, rediscovering yourself through fringe religious groups as Jim, and finally dying a slow death at an old age, surrounded by members of your cult as Jim. Do you feel it in your soul? Are you really, truly Jim right now? If so, then please step forward and press the button.
Джим неплохо так пожил, конечно.
Yes, you see, what a thrill, what a rush. That was you. The button described you. Do it again, do it again.
Jim.
Oh, it hits even harder the second time. If this were the only new feature,
по крайней мере, они не повторяются. То есть новый контент, он реально окучивает другие темы.
I'm too emotionally drained from all of this personal validation. Whoa there, cowboy. Sometimes a person can be too much, Jim. I'm putting the Jim button away. Otherwise, soon you'll start to lose all sense of who you actually are.
Jim.
Охереть. Ты-то подонок. Ладно, что, идем в яму, да? Да, кнопка Джим мне понравилась. Полезная. Так, яма. Где тут яма?
I suppose I could allow only people named Jim to play the Stanley Parable too. That would actually save me the work of finishing this feature.
Господи, Стэнли вот сюда был. Он похож на этого, на хозяина Гарфилда. Блять, как его, Джон зовут? Так, Jumping Circle мы уже видели. Это было потрясающе, конечно. Господи Иисусе, как все сложно. Так.
Stanley, here's an idea that I'm truly fond of. It's never been done before in a video game. This is in fact a hole that you can fall down forever. That's right. Infinite falling. You can fall until the end of time if you like. A stunning leap forward for video games is needed.
Да, игропром спасен.
You see, isn't it wonderful? One of my more ingenious concoctions, if I do say so. Now then, since you've gotten to see the infinite hole, you can press the teleport button to pop back up to the top, and we can continue onward.
Да, Саруман, это довольно известный
Now, I don't mean to be a bummer,
хотя не
but I do
затасканный,
recommend you use the
как я понимаю.
teleport button to go back to the top. Maybe do it on
Да, я понял, что
sooner
нужно
rather
нажимать.
than later spectrum of things. Okay, Stanley. I don't know quite how to say this tactfully, but it's possible that I slightly exaggerated
То есть я
the
все-таки,
infinite
да,
nature of the
приземлюсь
hole. Is it a
на
very,
голову.
very deep hole? To be certain it is. It's an extremely deep hole. I don't want anyone to say that it isn't an astonishingly deep hole. It is. Is it infinite? Well, that sort of depends on your definition of infinity. From one perspective, the infinite is merely philosophical in nature. It's more of a... Okay, well, good for you. You found the bottom of the hole. You found me out, Stanley. I'm a liar and a cheat, and you're so clever. Look, I think the issue here is just that you're unusually fascinated by falling. What normal person actually wants to fall infinitely? I figured the hole was as deep as anyone would actually need. Don't you put this on me. Maybe you're the problem.
Это текст песни, которую споет наратор, да? Я уверен в этом.
Just put all this behind us and agree to just call the hole mostly infinite. If that works for you, then go ahead and press the teleport button to warp up to the top of the hole and we can move on. I'll just be up here when you're ready.
Ничего, да, попробуем.
Great. Now, I'm very excited to show you even more of my ideas for the sequel. Oh, for heaven. You see, I was right. The problem is you. The problem is that you like holes too much. Not normal. A normal person would have said, yep, that's an infinite hole right there, goes on forever till the end of time. Don't need to see it all, but not you. Oh, no, 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 no. You have a weird sort of...
Не, ну отличный рух, просто замечаешь. О, боже, тут напакуил уже, да?
I couldn't help but feel like you spent a little less time in there than you did before. I mean, admittedly, I didn't make an infinite.
Такое чувство, будто дыра все меньше и меньше становится.
Not infinite. Well, I suppose once again there's nothing to do here. If you decide you've had enough of the hole, you can hit the teleport button and come join me up above. Had enough? I'm positively thrilled. I really do have so much more to show you and to talk about, and I've had enough of the hole for a lifetime.
Нет.
Gosh, how could I have guessed? You're back in the hole. If this starts to become a thing where... Wow. Okay. Yes. I'm starting to become extremely certain that the hole is not only not infinite, but that it's growing steadily less and less infinite. I suspect that I'm starting to hit the point where it's no longer feasible to call the hole infinitely deep, even by the lax overall standards for accountability and marketing. What's going on here? Stanley, I have no explanation for the uncertain nature of the hole's length. Here, let's try something. Let's pop back up to the top, and we'll see if it gets any shorter. Well, there it is. How is this still appealing to you? I know you're obsessed with holes, but at this depth, I just can't see this scratching the itch. Oh, who am I to judge? You just do whatever it is you're here to do and hit the teleport button when you're ready to move on.
Ой, ой. О боже мой.
Is the teleport button not working? You sure? Well, I mean, I really don't have an explanation. It was working just a moment ago. Try it again.
Да, сначала я его троллил, теперь он меня троллит.
I suppose there is one thing I can do to fix this. I'm out. Goodbye, Stanley. You couldn't bear to be away from the hole, and now you'll get more time with it than you could ever have asked for. It's a win for everyone. You get to be with the hole, I get to do literally anything else. Take care, Stanley. I hope you and the hole have a wonderful rest of eternity together.
Это все гейм-овер. Мне сейчас нужно рестартиться. Так. Что-то происходит? Да, музыка заиграла, видимо, что-то происходит. Прыжок мне не дали. Блин, нужно, конечно, сегодня нагуглить, как там другие концовки получать. Так, не сменять перспективу, наверное, да? Блин. Да, это очень интересный опыт, конечно. Блин, я к диску лучше вернусь. О, боже мой. Так, как тут... Господи Иисусе, это что вообще такое?
Stanley? Stanley? Stanley! Oh, good, you're awake. It seems you had sort of dozed off there, drifting away into dreamland. But we can't have that, Stanley, because this hole is just so darn fascinating that I want you to be wide awake for every second of it. You don't want to miss a single moment. So how about if I just pop in from time to time and wake you up to keep you really truly focused on the hole? From the looks of things, you and I will have many, many years here in this hole, and I'm looking forward to all of them. Stay alert, Stanley. I'll be back. Toodle-pip.
Хреново. Ну, я думаю, я еще вернусь сюда когда-нибудь. Я теперь тут начинаю. Ну ладно, чё, блин, да, это было очень долго. Очень весело, очень интересно, да. Я не знаю, быть может на стриме пройду, проверю, сколько там еще осталось. Быть может сам, а в следующий раз, видимо, Симпсонов буду играть. Ну ладно, да, господи, Саруман, все 3 часа просидел, да, святой человек. Саруман, Лаборатор, Каламити Зафиель, Кот, да, всем большое спасибо, всем пока. Завтра смотрим Final Girls, отличный фильм, но на другом стриме уже, да.